across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello and a very good evening to you. Do you know, when I left for work, it was still light. I know that is probably a nothing to you, but it was so significant to me, made me feel almost giddy. Anyway, coming up in the next 3 hours, of course, at midnight, it is the phone-in, and it is your full hour. And I want to hear your voices. There's been so much to talk about, hasn't there? I mean, talk about, you know, not being at work when one of the biggest stories in the world breaks. It's so frustrating. But anyway, of course, it's the gift that keeps on giving. And so we will be talking about it this evening and also tomorrow morning. And what I want to ask you is, should the King, I mean, there's a petition now, so this is why we're talking about it. Should the King withdraw his invitation of a state visit to Donald Trump? It is very clear, it's become very clear, I think, that Donald Trump doesn't give a jot about us in Europe. But of course, with Keir Starmer really seeing him sucking up to Donald Trump the way he did in the White House, I got it. I understood why he was having to suck up to Donald Trump and play the game and, you know, offer him a unprecedented second state visit. I get it. I understand that, right? It's about sucking up to the bully to make sure you don't get punched in the face, right? That's what that was about. That was to hopefully avoid tariffs and to avoid us being, you know, in his crosshairs, so to speak. By the way, the American market have tanked. The Dow Jones down nearly 2% since the tariffs on Mexico, Canada and China came into force. So the American economy not doing very well on the back of that. But anyhow, what I want to know is that, do we continue to suck up to Donald Trump? I mean, I guess he's the biggest bully in the playground, isn't he? He's got the most toys, he's got the most weapons, he's got, you know, all of that going on for him. So maybe we do. It's called self-preservation. And who cares? Right? Who cares how we look to the rest of the world? We've got to keep on giving Donald Trump's ego a massage. We've got to keep on making him feel like he's the big man in the room. Of course, that was the mistake that Zelenskyy made, wasn't it? Not making him feel like the big man in the room. I have a completely different view, by the way, of the Zelenskyy Oval Office to some of my colleagues. What I saw were bullies. What I saw was the most disgusting behaviour for any senior politicians ever, I think. J.D. Vance laughing at Zelensky's face, that stooge, that set-up question about the suit when the man is at war. By the way, Winston Churchill, during the Second World War, when he went to see the Americans, he wore his baby grow. He invented this sort of all-in-one. He didn't wear a suit. He didn't wear a suit because he was at war. And by the way, Musk doesn't wear a suit. He's not even at war, is he? Well, he is with the American people, American federal employees. Anyway, the state visit. Should Donald Trump still come to Britain for that state visit? I'll run you through all the costs and everything a little bit later, but the policing of it cost us £3.5 million. So while we're worried about money and while we're worried about what's happening to our money, maybe that is something we should be concerned about. I also don't think that Donald Trump will get the welcome that he thinks he deserves. Well, I think he'll get the welcome he does deserve, but I don't think he'll get the welcome he thinks he deserves when he comes to the UK. Like I said, there's a petition now to ask the King to withdraw his invitation. I don't think he will. I'm not even sure he should, but I want to talk to you about it. I want to know how you feel about Donald Trump coming over for a second state visit. The last one is in 2020, by the way. So give me a call. 0344 499 1000. You can message me as well, 87222. I put the word talk up front and it comes through to me here in the studio. Along with that, between 11 and 12, I've got a plaster on my thumb, so I can't flick through my papers very much. Right, so Russ Kane is in the studio, writer, broadcaster and celebrant. He's going to be going through the newspapers for tomorrow. And Josh Rom will be here to talk us through the Academy Awards, the Oscars. And Alex Three Lines Irons will be here to talk to us about the FA Cup and other weekend sports action. But right now, and this has updated slightly, Keir Starmer, of course, has announced a 4-point plan now for a coalition of the willing. This is to end the war. Together with France and other countries, the UK is set to step up efforts with what they call this coalition. Now, the reason that France and the UK are taking the lead on this is because that France and the UK are nuclear powers. So fundamentally, they're the most powerful countries in Europe. Some people have said that they can't take part in this, although they will offer other support. Poland, for example, has said because they border Russia, they need to keep their soldiers in order to protect their own country from what they believe might be a Russian attack on Poland. So they said they can't give troops, but they'll give other support to a coalition of the willing. Spain have said that they're not quite ready yet. They want to see what the peace looks like. And of course, Germany can't come on board because they're in flux politically at the moment, and it depends what Merz agrees to do when he takes the helm in Germany. I mean, he's quite pro the giving support to Ukraine, and he's pro of a Europe going it alone without as much American influence. So we might see potentially, I suggest that he will say yes, he will support Ukraine in the coalition of the willing. So all of that is going to happen. Donald Trump has been out and spoken again. He said that the mineral deals are not dead. But he's angry that Zelenskyy suggested that the end of the war is far away. He wants to get it done quickly. I think Zelenskyy wants to get it done right. And who can blame him? Well, listen, to discuss this and other things, I'm very interested in what will happen with Turkey, is Paul Beaver, independent defence analyst. Paul, it's so wonderful to see you. Thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Great pleasure. It's been a while.
It has been a while. It's always too long. But listen, Paul, let's have a look, first of all, at this coalition of the willing. They may be willing, but are they able?
Sorry, that was not intentional. It came just at the wrong moment, or the right moment. To be absolutely honest, it's a big ask, because if you put troops onto the ground in Ukraine, for whatever purpose, peacekeeping, peace security, deterrence, or whatever, the Russians are going to object to it. I think we get through that through politics. Your next problem as a military commander is you need 3 times as many troops as you initially put in, because you have to rule them through. So you have to have a team training to take over, and the team then that comes out has to rest, retrain again, and go back in. So it's very much a movement of troops. If we're going to look at the frontier, the battle zone is between 960 and 1,000 kilometers. The battle space is 400 kilometers deep. I'm not sure that that's the place that any coalition of the willing will go. I think rather they will go and protect city centres and infrastructure nodes, the port of Odessa, for example, nuclear power stations. So some work can be done to make those safe, because the Russians, of course, have been attacking them. And then you've got to say, so what countries can supply the troops? Britain traditionally likes to go in as the framework nation to do the control, command and control. We're very good at that. We have we have the command of the ARC, the Allied Rapid Reaction Corps, which is a NATO force. We are the framework nation of the Joint Expeditionary Force, the JEF, which is basically the northern nations, the Scandinavians, the Baltics, plus the Netherlands. The Netherlands and the United Kingdom are very close militarily. We're close also to Norway, to Sweden. I think Finland and the Baltic states will not want to put any soldiers down there. We're starting to have a problem now in working out who's going to do it. We've got the smallest army we've had for a very long time. The French armed forces are bigger than us, but they're also committed. worldwide. We've got soldiers, for example, at the moment, I think in 32 countries around the world. Things like conservation protection in Africa, where we're teaching some of the African nations how to do anti-poaching. There's all sorts of things that are going on. Yes, we could use Royal Marines as well, and we could use the Royal Air Force Regiment, of course. We're not short of organisations, we're just short of people. So this is a very, very big ask, and I'm not sure yet that there's enough detail there to make a really good analysis as to whether or not it will work.
What about Turkey? Okay, looking at the size of the Turkish military, I know Turkey were there at the meeting, but I know that I understand that they've said they'll commit troops, and a serious number of troops. But how much more could we expect Turkey to do? Because I think they're keeping quiet for a reason.
Yeah, so the Turks are really interesting at the moment. There's an election in Turkey in 2027. It's most likely that Erdogan's party will lose. The CHP will take over. They are more to the left. They are more aligned actually with the Labour Party in the United Kingdom. Erdogan's got his eye on this election coming up in what is only 2 years. So electioneering will probably start next year. It's got a big army. They mainly are conscripts. They do some peacekeeping work. They're a NATO nation, so they are within the NATO standards of soldiering. There's a lot that Turkey could do because, of course, Ukraine, to me, is not just the land mass of Ukraine and the occupied areas of Donetsk, etc., and the Crimea, but it's also, of course, the Black Sea. Now, that's going to be very important. The Black Sea bounded by NATO nations like Bulgaria and Romania and Turkey. It's important. The lifeblood of Ukraine tends to be agricultural products, which have to come out somewhere. Turkey has blocked the Bosphorus under the Montreux Agreement so that no military vessels can go through. So there's a lot to be done. Turkey is a sort of quasi-European power in the sense it has a lot of the standard formats that you need to have in Europe, but it's never really worked in continental Europe. It was neutral in the Second World War. It was belligerent in the First World War, which created the modern state of Turkey, of course. All that's just about in human memory, or recent human living memory. It's interesting. And then, of course, if the Turks are there, then the Greeks will want to be there because there's a little friction there between the two, and there has been for many years over the islands in the Aegean Sea. Wherever you look, there are political problems. Now, it's going to show the mettle of Mr. Our Prime Minister Starmer and of President Macron of France, if they can pull this together. And you're right, of course, Britain and France are the most powerful European nations on paper because we both have nuclear weapons.
I mean, again, looking to Germany, who is now looking to, under Merz, now looking to the UK and France to provide more a European umbrella, if you like, if Trump is just going to wash his hands of us. Is there an expectation that Merz, he's already been very vocal, is there an expectation that Germany will come up with more?
Well, Germany could come up with more. Germany's problem is that under the previous administration, actually, you have to say under Angela Merkel, Germany did actually sort of hollow out its armed forces. I mean, their aircraft are not flown as their pilots are not in the same combat readiness as Britain and France, for example. We're talking of troops on the ground. We've got to have something in the air as well. Do we have a no-fly zone? Do we have enough aeroplanes to do a no-fly zone? Do we have enough pilots and missiles because you've got to be credible in your deterrent. There's no point in having a no-fly zone and not having the weapons under the wings of the aeroplanes. And some of our aircraft, of course, are American F-35s, as are Norwegian and Danish and Swiss and Finnish and German. are the Americans going to allow us to operate the F-35 in that airspace? There are so many questions about this, so many imponderables. It's really difficult to know how it can go about. But the most important thing for me is that Sir Keir Starmer and Emmanuel Macron are together. I really approve of the British and the French, a Franco-British sort of alliance and leadership in this, because you need both of us to do this. That's a great first step. And I think it's very important now that we get Germany, as soon as it gets a new government, probably going to be April before that happens, get them to move forward. The Spanish can contribute, the Italians can contribute. There are lots of nations there that are very effective. I've worked in my military career with Romanians and Bulgarians, for example. They're very effective soldiers, and they're disciplined, they're trained. They could all be part of it. But you can't hollow out all of your armed forces to put them into one of the largest European countries, and that's Ukraine.
When we're looking at a peace, let's go ahead. I mean, how that is going to happen, I can't see right now. But when we're looking at a peace, there'll be a lot of people who will suggest, well, why aren't the United Nations involved in that? Why won't they be sending in, you know, like we saw in Bosnia, the Blue Berets? What is the United Nations for, if not this moment?
Well, the problem with the United Nations is, of course, it has the Russian and Chinese veto in the Security Council.
They should not be allowed to veto. The aggressor should not be allowed to veto the United Nations.
There are lots of problems. There are countries that support Russia, like North Korea, Iran, South Africa, Venezuela, that are in the United Nations. They're not going to want to be involved. India is ambivalent about it. I mean, India's making hay at the moment of having lots of cheap oil coming from Russia. It's according to various newspaper reports. So the United Nations isn't exactly where it was, say, in 1950, when North Korea invaded South Korea, and we knew exactly what the situation was then. It's a very different world out there. The old world order is crumbling. We need to do everything we can to support the whole idea of a free world, of Western democratic values, bearing in mind that if a country doesn't want Western European values, they'll find a way of not having them. So you just have to look at some of the countries in the Middle East that have their own system, and it works very well for them at the moment. Perhaps we might find that. Perhaps United Arab Emirates, for example, very effective armed forces, very well equipped. We might see them involved. Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, again, very effective country, not famous for being on the world stage and doing stuff, but both the UAE and Saudi had been at war with the Houthis in Yemen, so they had combat experience as well. All these things, I think, have to be taken into consideration. At the same time, in Britain, of course, we're busy doing the defence, the Strategic Defence Review, which will probably come out in June. There's a lot of rewriting of that. Lord Robertson and his team, I'm sure, are burning the midnight oil every night, because it's a changing situation all the time.
And just briefly as well, there's conversation now that China may take the opportunity to invade Taiwan. At this point, so whilst we're all looking in another direction, that China may go, well, I mean, America's not going to get involved now under Donald Trump. We could do this thing.
I think it's more likely China will try some form of coercion, strangulation of Taiwan rather than an invasion. It has yet to build its amphibious forces. Taiwan it might look small on the map because People's Republic of China is large, but actually it's still quite a big country, still difficult to invade. China has no experience of using amphibious forces. They need at least 3-1, 5-1, even 10-1 advantage over Taiwan. So if America stands by and ignores its defense agreement with Taiwan, the rest of the world that has bilateral agreements, everyone's going to go, really? And what prices are defence agreement then, security agreement?
I mean, you could argue that there was a defence agreement between America and Ukraine as well to get rid of their nuclear weapons, and Donald Trump is saying, well, we don't owe them anything. Yeah.
Yes, I know. I noticed that there's some Republicans are saying, well, it wasn't ratified by Congress, or some excuse like that. Well, if the President of the United States wants to throw his weight around now, then the President of the United States in 1994, when he signed this, I think it was Bill Clinton, that must carry the same amount of weight. No, I think there's an awful lot to be done. We will be. I can't see peace in Ukraine happening yet.
No.
I really hope that we will stop the killing soon. The easiest way, of course, is, and I hate to parrot so many Western officials, but the easiest way is Russia withdraws and stops fighting and gives back the land it's taken. That's the easiest way to get peace.
But it's not. I can't see that happening with Donald Trump at the helm. Just again, Paul, when we're looking at the relationship between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, it's a difficult one to watch. But Donald Trump is absolutely adamant he can trust Putin. Has Putin changed, or have I gone mad?
Putin hasn't changed. He's still the duplicitous person he always was. He's still a KGB-trained operative. I think it was the 7th Chief Directorate, which deals with subversion of the West and destruction of infrastructure and nuclear power plants and the like, which he ran from Leipzig, I think it was, during the Cold War. I mean, he's an amazing operator, but he is, just like Trump. They have similar psychological characteristics, and they like to win. They like to be right. They like the sound of their own voice, and they don't like any opposition, particularly not from an educated media, which is what Trump is trying to stifle, and Putin has already stifled. There is no opposition left alive in Russia. If anyone thinks they can trust Putin at the moment, I think they are really have not any grasp of either history or current affairs.
Paul Beaver, it is always such a pleasure to talk to you, and even nicer to see your little face. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. Paul Beaver, independent defence analyst. I'm taking a quick break, but I'm going to be back in just a sec.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, good evening. This is Talk, and it's Petrie here with you until 1 o'clock. And coming up at midnight, there is now a petition for the King to withdraw his state visit invitation to Donald Trump. And look, it is unlikely that the King would do that, because if he did, I mean, it would be a diplomatic disaster. And I knew that he was going to, I said it last week, that there would be an offer of such a thing, because they're playing to Donald Trump's ego. That's all it is. This man's ego is so fragile that he needed something. And that is our soft power. That's when the royal family step up, right? That's when they have to play their part. And if... Look, if when the King sees Trump and flatters him and, I don't know, feeds him expensive food, and Trump leaves us alone, all of you who are saying, oh, the royal family are not worth the money, that's going to be worth the money. But how much is our soul worth? How much is it worth? And I watched, like this, fingers, I mean, behind a cushion, almost like I used to watch Doctor Who when I was a kid. Seeing Starmer sucking up to Donald Trump, and I got it. I understood that that's what you have to do with somebody who has the ego that Trump has. I get that. I understand it. I'm not without, reason. But it wasn't attractive to look at. It didn't make me feel. It made me feel dirty. I had to go and have a shower after watching that. And then we see the way that Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio just looks like he's checked out, doesn't he now? He looks like he's going, beam me up, Scotty, what am I doing here? So all of those people around Zelenskyy, and just an ambush. It was an ambush. And, a lot of people go, oh, Zelenskyy, he doesn't want peace. He's the one person who does want peace, right? He genuinely wants peace. His country has been decimated. He's a very humble man. And what happened in that Oval Office should shame America, and will shame America for a very, very, very long time. You don't treat people like that. If you wanted to talk to Zelenskyy like that in private and say, listen, buddy, you're being a... I was going to say something rude then. But you don't do that. It's like bullies in a playground. It was pathetic. It was pathetic and embarrassing. And if you were watching a completely different thing and you have a completely different take on it, that's up to you. But that is my view of what happened in that Oval Office. And it could have been so different. And Britain doesn't like bullies, I thought. I thought that's who we were. Anyway, should we now say to Donald Trump, we're not going to, but just as an interest as to what you think, do you want him here? Do you want Donald Trump lording it around the UK, being made to feel special? 0344 499 1000.
the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hi there, it's Petrie here with you until 1 o'clock. And don't forget, coming up in about 15 minutes' time, we're going to be talking about the Oscars. The Oscars and the film that no one had ever heard of, really, Anora, and how well it did. Unbelievable. Right, it's a small independent film as well, which is good to see. It's good to see independents doing well. But first, let's catch up with the sort of Oscars. Well, it's of sport, with Alex, Three Lions Irons, Talk Sport presenter and producer. So
good evening.
Good evening to you. So look, it may not have been quite as exciting as the Oscars, but there was a bit. there was a busy weekend, nonetheless, with the FA Cup action.
There was a lot of drama on the pitch and off it this weekend in the FA Cup. It might have not all have been about Hollywood, but sorry, I had to get that in there.
Very good.
But very, very, there was a lot of action going on across the FA Cup fifth round this weekend just gone. We know who's going to be drawn up against who. Bournemouth will be hosting Manchester City. Both those teams going through, Bournemouth knocking out Wolves on penalties, and Manchester City coming from behind against Plymouth Argyle, who are struggling for their championship safety at the moment. They're looking to get relegated. They're looking like they could get relegated, but they went 1-0 up against Manchester City in the fifth round. It didn't take too long for City to claw their way back into it, but they did need to bring on Erling Haaland to really kind of put the sword to Plymouth Argyle. So the team from the team from Devon can really say that they're proud of their team's performance. Fulham have knocked out Manchester United. They're of course the current cup champions. Fulham, looking for revenge after being knocked out of the cup 2 years ago, managed to do so on penalties. Me being a Fulham fan, on my way back from Newcastle over the weekend, very, very nervous on the train until Bernd Leno saved that last penalty from Joshua Zirkzee. Brighton are through as well. They played Newcastle on Sunday, which is while I was up in Newcastle, and they will be playing Nottingham Forest, who won tonight, who they beat Ipswich on penalties 5-4 about 20 minutes ago. We will also see Preston. They're through, and they're at home to Aston Villa. So a lot going on across the weekend. Crystal Palace beat Millwall, which had a lot of controversy. There, Millwall's goalkeeper was sent off an immediate red card for essentially kung fu kicking Joan Mateta in the head. Mateta was taken to hospital and received 25 stitches.
Oh, wow.
What was a pretty horrible tackle, but looks like he's going to be okay, but out for a while. Although we have seen that Millwall's goalkeeper has had quite a lot of abuse online, and of course Millwall have come out and condoned that abuse. We've also seen racial abuse towards Fulham's Calvin Bassey after his goal put Fulham ahead against Manchester United. Of course, Fulham condoning that racial abuse as well. So it's been rather dramatic on and off the pitch. On the pitch as well, Preston played Burnley and they beat them 3-0. But we saw a couple of weeks ago these two teams play together in the league, and one of the players was essentially called out for racially abusing Burnley player Hannibal. So when they came to shaking hands at the beginning of the game, they refused to shake that player's hand.
Oh. Not good, is it, really? Why is there all this bad behaviour going on?
Don't know, it's football. There's always something bad to go with the good at the moment, unfortunately. But a pretty good pretty good run by Preston, who have come in at the third round. They are the lowest team left in the competition, and we'll also potentially see a club who have never won the cup this year potentially go on and win it. There are 4 teams in the competition left who haven't won it. Fulham, they're one of them. Palace as well. Bournemouth and Brighton have never won the FA Cup, where of course Forest, Man City, Villa and Preston have both won it. Preston's, although came, I think it was in the 1920s was their last one. So it's been a long time since they won it, but they are previous FA Cup champions.
Of course, you're holding out hope for Fulham, are you?
Oh, definitely. Of course I am. To have that day at Wembley, is something that for Fulham hasn't happened since 1975, which was before I was born. And even then, it was 16 years before I was born. And even then, they went on to lose that game against West Ham. To have the opportunity to see Fulham play at Wembley in an FA Cup semi-final, of course, the semis are at Wembley this year now, and maybe even the final would be fantastic. And to go with my dad and the rest of my family would be an amazing experience.
What are the odds?
I'm not sure, haven't checked them, but hopefully they're quite good. Fulham against Palace. Palace recently played at Fulham in the league and beat them convincingly, so I'm not overly joyous about the draw, but if, you can start to dream once you get to the quarterfinal stages of your team playing at Wembley and potentially lifting the FA Cup, which I've never seen that happen in my lifetime, and I'm fingers crossed. I'm hoping that it happens this year.
Look, there's a new rule coming into football. What is it, and what will change?
Yeah, so from this summer onwards, goalkeepers will be allowed 8 seconds from catching the ball to releasing it in an attempt to cut down on time wasting. Positive results in trials across England, Italy and Malta have prompted the game's rule makers, the International Football Association Board, or IFAB for short, to change the law for the start of next season, the 2025-26 season. This rule will be implemented worldwide from July the 1st at all levels of the game, from elite to amateur. This will also affect the FIFA Club World Cup, which will be happening in America in June. Runs from the 15th of June to the 13th of July. The rules will be in place for the Club World Cup when it kicks off in the middle of June. Referees will punish players for holding onto the ball for more than 8 seconds by awarding a corner to the opposition. So
big fine then. I mean,
so there was a rule in place already where goalkeepers could only have the ball for 6 seconds. If they had the ball for longer than that, it would be an indirect free kick. But it wasn't really held by referees. They just kind of let play go on and didn't really use that rule at all. So goalkeepers will be warned by the referee when they have 5 seconds remaining to get rid of the ball, and then the referee will raise their arm and start a visual countdown with their hand. So, what people have been complaining about, the ball's not in play for long enough, and there have been surveys that have come out and said the Premier League, the ball's only in action for 50 minutes of the game or whatever. So this should hopefully cut down on time wasting a bit more.
Well, how long have they been holding the ball then, these goalies?
So
20 minutes?
It depends. Yeah. Sometimes it feels like that. But there have been different... So every goalkeeper is different. There is no Opta statistics available for the dark art metric of how long a goalkeeper is holding onto the ball for when they're time wasting. But there have been examples. So you've got Jason Steele. He's the Brighton goalkeeper. He has held onto the ball this season for an average of 14.8 seconds. That's compared to Manchester United's Andre Onana, whose average for holding onto the ball is 4.8. So goalkeepers tend to be different. They're different how long they hold the ball for, whether their distribution is different compared to another goalkeeper's. There's a lot of different variables going on. So it'll be an interesting rule to see, and to see implemented as well. Of course, referees have got enough on their plate at the moment with VAR and everything else. So it'll be interesting to see how long it's implemented for and how long it's consistently implemented for. And
that's what it's going to take, is consistency, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's turn to rugby league in Vegas.
Yeah, speaking of, I was going to say Hollywood, but that's not quite Hollywood. But it's still glitz and glamour of Las Vegas, of course. The rugby league, it's their second year over in Vegas. So you have the NRL, which is the National Rugby League in Australia. They went over last year and played 2 games. And then this year there were 4 games. So you had an English Super League tie between Wigan and Warrington. That finished 48 to 24 in favour of the Wigan Warriors. You also had 3 other games. So you had 2 games in the NRL, which is the National League of Australia, and you had a women's international friendly game between the Gillaroos, Australia's women's team, and England women. And that, out of all of them, was a very, very one-sided affair compared to the other games. Australia women went out as 90 points to 4 winners in that game. You also had Canberra Raiders versus the New Zealand Warriors. That finished 30 points to 8 for the Raiders. and Penrith Panthers play the Cronulla Sharks. And
That's
the Panthers
easy for you to say.
Yes, exactly. It's not normally that difficult. The Panthers won 28 points to 22. So there's a lot of rugby league action going on. And the fact that it's even out there to begin with is quite a miracle in itself. Like I said, NRL went out there last year to try and capture an American audience, especially over on the West Coast, where time differences align more with Australia as they do over here. So they took 2 of their games over there last year in their Las Vegas event that saw over 40,000 spectators watch the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles play the South Sydney Rabbitohs, and the Sydney Roosters beat the Brisbane Broncos. So Chris Radlitsky, who is the Wigan Warriors chief executive and former player, he sent an email to the NRL organisers to see if Wigan Warriors could take part for this year's competition, and it was that his email was accepted rather well by the NRL, and Wigan were over there to take part with Warrington, and I saw quite a lot of social media of Australian commentators wanting to try a Wigan pie, which I think is a pie in 2 slices of bread. So it seems like everyone over there had a lot of fun. There were a lot of people. There was more people there this year than there were last. There was 45,000 people across the 4 games compared to the 40,000 across the 2 last year, which is an improvement. But there were 2 more games there for people to enjoy, and it seemed like it was a pretty good afternoon and a good night for everyone involved. And hopefully, if you're a fan of rugby league, this will help grow the sport over in a new territory in the United States.
I stopped listening to you when you mentioned the pie in between 2 slices of bread. I'm thinking, oh, maybe
I've not had that either.
Go.
I'm not northern enough for
it
that,
doesn't
so,
say. I was born just outside Manchester. I'm northern enough. I'm going to give that a go. Why not?
Go for it.
Who knows? Ketchup or brown
Watford,
sauce?
so I'd go brown personally, but that's just me.
Maybe a bit of brown
gravy.
sauce.
It's got to be gravy, surely.
Alex, thank you very much indeed. Alex, 3 Lions Irons there, TalkSport presenter and producer. Right, it's off to actual Hollywood next.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello Hello there, and a very good evening to you. With me in the studio is Josh Rahm, entertainment journalist, and of course this. I was going to say this is your Oscars. It is.
It is the Oscars.
It is the Oscars.
Well, I like to say this is usually what election night is to political journalism, award season, Oscar night is to entertainment journalists. That's what I always say.
It was a big one.
It was.
And surprising.
Yes.
A winner.
I mean, well, in a way surprising, because if you follow it like I do, I know a lot of you don't, but I follow it very closely. And all these other award seasons, you look at the Screen Actors Guild, the BAFTAs, the Golden Globes, etc., 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 they're the precursors. We saw Anora recently, which was the big winner of the night, coming away with 5 awards. We saw it recently get more and more momentum within Hollywood. Yeah. We saw it pick up at the Directors Guild, the Writers Guild, the Producers Guild, the Critics' Choice. It had this, I kid you not, there was this one week where it just swooped everything, every big award. And then, of course, there was the big shock at the BAFTAs when Mikey Madison came home with the big BAFTA, and that very much firmly put her in the race.
Yeah.
But it is, when it came to Best Actress, it's very interesting what we've had, because on both occasions, on both the Oscars and this year at the BAFTAs, we had these almost... There were 2 other people that we had in mind for each of them, slightly different. We had Demi Moore in mind for both the Oscar and the BAFTA. But then for the BAFTA, we had Marion Jean-Baptiste in mind. And then for the Oscar, we all thought, Fernanda Torres, she had that big win at the Globes. She's Demi's competition. And then out comes Mikey Madison in this kind of little pinky dress. There she is with all the winners, with Zoe Saldana, who won for Best Supporting Actress. We've also got Kieran Culkin, Macaulay Culkin's brother, for Best Supporting Actor. And then my favourite, Adrian Brody, for The Brutalist with Best Leading Actor. But you had Mikey Madison for these last 2 award ceremonies just come in with these 2 big stonking wins. But last night I was watching the ITV coverage. I won't say more about it than that. But they had Jason Isaacs on the programme, and Jason Isaacs said a very good point. Often with these ceremonies, it's not necessarily about acting talent, it is who runs the best campaign.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
In recent weeks, the campaign push for Mikey Madison has been extraordinary. She's been, right before the BAFTAs, 2 weeks before, a week before, she was on the radio show, she was on Graham Norton, she was doing print magazines, she was doing...
But that's not what it should be about.
No, but it's not what it should be about, but the fact of the matter is, it is about that. And when leading actress, we all thought, oh, this is Demi's to lose. We have this brilliant actress who's had this decades-long career, beloved by her peer group, has never received her award flowers. She had the narrative, but yet we love an underdog. And this year, Mikey Madison, although, yes, Demi Moore came from this brilliant genre film, this horror film, The Substance, a film that isn't usually recognised.
Very weird.
It was a weird film.
I didn't like... I mean, the ending of it just ruined it for me. But the rest of it, I thought, was quite an interesting discussion about women getting ageing and how they're considered done for and all of that thing as they get old, as we get older, which is true. I'm invisible. I could be a cat burglar.
I disagree. We've had this discussion before.
No, but truly, it is true. So I thought it was a really good, interesting way of telling that story until the end, and then I went, oh, well, that did it for me. It's ruined it.
Yeah, the ending was weird. But the thing is, and this is the thing with Anora, it was brave. It was it was niche in itself.
It was an independent movie,
an independent film, less than 20.
It's good to see independence.
Oh, I love it. And that's the thing, the 2 big winners of the night, The Brutalist and Anora, these big independent films with these coming home with these huge awards. And that's the thing, like, you look at Wicked with its hundreds of millions of dollar budget, June Part 2 as well. They came home solid wins, 2 awards each, Wicked for production design and costumes.
Yeah, but they're not real awards, are they?
They're awards.
I mean, don't they do that with the technical Oscars a little bit of another day?
No, it's still part of the main ceremony.
Okay.
There was that controversy, you're right, when they tried to...
Separate the technical.
Well, they tried to basically award... It was never going to go down well. Award those technical and craft awards during the advert breaks and then play pre-recorded speeches. It was never going to go down well.
No, because they're, you know, I mean, they are important, obviously, but not as big as getting best film, best actor.
Everyone wants to see the following. You want to see Best Picture, Best Director, and the 4 acting nods, and the 4 acting categories.
They're the ones that really matter.
Well, and part of, I think the film fans that love film, then always, you like to see the screenplay awards as well, because you get these big writers, like you would get Quentin Tarantino, you would get Martin Scorsese nominated, Wes Anderson, you know, things like that. You would see the big names in screenplay. For example, Jesse Eisenberg, that I spoke to at the BAFTAs, he's an actor in A Real Pain alongside Kieran Culkin. He, of course, wrote A Real Pain and was nominated for that award as well.
And Kieran Culkin, I mean, of the two brothers, I mean, he looks quite a lot like Daniel Radcliffe in my view at the moment.
I can see it.
Yeah, if you look at that picture and tell me he doesn't. Sorry,
no, I think we do have the picture. No, but I can 100% see it.
He looks like Harry Potter, but he's the success of the brothers, really, isn't he?
I mean, Macaulay Culkin had his fame,
had his bit as a kid,
and then unfortunately it just kind of went a little bit downhill. But if any season can prove that you can have a comeback, it's this, because you look at Demi Moore. The fact of the matter is, okay, she didn't come home with the Oscar. She still won the Golden Globe. She still won the Screen Actors Guild Award. She still come home with huge recognition. There she is on the red carpet, if you're watching on YouTube, looking absolutely gorgeous in this bodycon dress. She proves that she very much still has it.
She looks like what's-her-face from the Addams Family.
What, Morticia Addams? Yeah. No, she looks far prettier than that. Although saying that, I always love a bit of Angelica Houston. I always love Angelica Houston. But the thing is, this season can prove that you can have a real career resurgence.
Yeah, well, Pamela Anderson as well. Yeah.
Angelina Jolie for Maria. Again, both of those actresses, okay, they didn't get Oscar nominated. However, what they did get, they did receive nominations at the Golden Globe. So the thing is, you are getting... There's a lot of narratives around award season of people either having their flowers from a long time ago and haven't done much in their career since. Even, for example, Adrian Brody. Because let's not forget, you know, we all loved him in The Pianist. Absolutely fantastic. But then I have grown up with him mostly in Wes Anderson films. He hasn't really done that much of note. And then he teams up with Brady Corbet, Guy Pearce and Felicity Jones. And you very much got the impression that Brady Corbet almost had a pep talk with them going, all right, guys, this is it. This is your chance.
Yeah.
You've got this movie. We don't have the biggest budget. There's no diva antics, no egos here. But I've got this big, monumental vision here. I want it to be epic. I want it to be a spectacle. I want it to be old-fashioned. I want to film it in VistaVision. I want an interval in the middle of the film. I want Jewish culture and this immigrant experience on display. And that's the thing. What it only achieved with the resources that it had, that's why I think it came away with as much as it did last night. And it's funny because last night I was speaking to a source actually who works in the film industry, who I've known for quite a long time, and both of us were really supportive of The Brutalist, and she and this person was working kind of on the film a little bit in a capacity, and she was saying to me as the ceremony was going on and as Nora was picking up wins for editing and all of that stuff, and then The Brutalist lost out for the screenplay nomination, for the screenplay awards. I was speaking to this person and they were saying to me, oh, I don't think it's going to get a look in here. And then all of a sudden, boom, it got score, boom, it got cinematography, boom, it got Adrian Brody won for leading actor. I will say the time that I really cheered last night in my living room watching this, staying up all night, was the moment when Adrian Brody won the Oscar. I just went, yeah.
And threw his chewing gum at his girlfriend. Very strange.
But and also that speech, bearing in mind it's one of the longest in Oscar history, I absolutely loved it that they started playing the music and then he went, no, stop the music. This isn't my first rodeo. I will wrap it up. And then he just kept talking for another minute, which was just brilliant. But it was so heartfelt. And actually what has really annoyed me is a lot of the Jewish community have been saying about Adrian Brody and Kieran Culkin, oh, you know, these are amazing films about Jewish representation. And they say, oh, they haven't been saying anything about the hostages. They haven't said anything about Israel. They haven't said anything about the rise in anti-Semitism. And part of me is like, okay, I kind of get the criticism, but then on the other hand, I'm also I'm one of those people where I love these award shows, and what I really didn't love was how political they've all been becoming. So actually, I've loved the fact that actually they haven't made it political, that they have just thanked their agents, and Kieran Culkin went up on stage and told the story about how his wife didn't think he was going to win and how she promised him 4 kids if he's won, and now they're going to try for more babies, and Adrian Brody as well, he's had to tiptoe around the whole campaign as well. He's doing his job, you know, and I almost feel like he can't win, because if he says anything, well, he's going to invite a pile-on. Loads of people are going to give him hate. Loads of people are going to give him abuse. You can't win. Give them a break.
One thing that I was surprised about is the conclave. That didn't do as well as everybody imagined that it would do.
Now,
especially at the moment with the Pope not being very
well. I mean, if you remember, with our BAFTA special, at the end of our segment, I said, well, the Pope going into hospital, that wasn't a reaction to Conclave winning Best Picture at the BAFTAs that I was expecting. Wasn't expecting that. No, but I mean, we said this at the time, you might remember, because I said, I don't think it's going to do as well at the Oscars. There's a reason why it did so well at the BAFTAs, because Peter Strawn wrote it, of course, and he actually was the one person from Conclave that came home with something, and that was for adapted screenplay. But Ray Fiennes, British acting darling, fabulous, not his year. Edward Berger, a respected director, I think far more in European territories than he is more in the US. Conclave as a film, it was European, it was nuanced, and I don't think the American voters, the American Academy, would have got it in the same way as the British Academy.
Still, I haven't seen it yet, and I'm so desperate to see it because it just looks beautiful.
And it's a good film.
As indeed you do. As you always do.
Indeed you do as well, Petrie.
Josh Robb, thank you very much indeed. I'm back in a minute with Ross Kane.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, and a very good evening to you. It is Petrie. No, hello, it's Petrie here. I've already messed it up.
Take two, love.
Take two. Right, hello. And Petrie Hosken here, and with me in the studio, now that voice you can hear, is Russ Kane, who's a writer, broadcaster, and celebrant.
Yes.
Yeah. Lovely to see you.
Thank you. Lovely to see
you. I'm glad to see you're wearing a jacket, because otherwise I'd have said,
what?
Why aren't you wearing a suit?
No, hey! See what you did
See
there.
what I did there.
Yeah.
Now, no, it's good. Now, listen, one thing I've been asking about is that I know it's not going to happen, but there's a petition now asking for the King to withdraw his invitation to Donald Trump to come here. I don't think he's going to get a very lovely welcome when he came. He didn't last time, let's be honest, in 2020. What do you think?
Petrie, never diss the Don.
Never diss the Don. I
Never
spent my entire life doing that.
Diss the Don.
I'm going to be absolutely banned from America. I don't care.
Are you?
Yeah. I don't want to go
I
there
can't.
anyway.
My kid lives over there.
Oh, yeah.
I can't be banned. I've got to go and see him. No, first of all, King Charles, excusez-moi,
Yeah.
should... It's terrible.
Charlie?
Did you say Charles? Did you say, like, I've met him a few times. I'm sure you've met him a lot more.
Never.
You've never met him?
He took my photograph once.
Why?
A photograph of
Were you
me.
in boots or something?
No,
I
was. It was a year when I was a very tiny child, and my mother and stepfather, they had a canoe on the top of the car, and in order for us to see the King going past, or as he was the Prince then, they stuck two of us in the canoe. And Charlie took a picture, King Charlie, to me.
King Charles to you.
Took a photograph.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think he probably treasures it?
It's probably on his mantelpiece.
He cherishes it.
It's on his mantelpiece.
Did you sign it now? Now you're famous?
It's in his living room. I just, Yeah.
Christmas message, you'll see it on the piano. No, first of all, I've been a royalist all my life. I really have. I remember standing with my mum when the Queen Mother, it was pouring with rain. We were walking this little crowd, and Mum said, because she'd be nosy, what's going on? Oh, Queen Mother's coming. We stood in the pouring rain like two idiots, and she got out of the car and went, I was so excited. I was like, yay hi.
Wow.
So I've always been, but I think, I'm going out on a limb here, I think he's getting too political. His mother, rest her soul, the greatest monarch we will ever see, was magnificent.
Yeah.
Magnificent.
I agree.
And I think he's being too politicised. No,
But the soft power thing the royals have always done. I mean, the Queen has had to sit down and have meals and conversations with some of the worst people in the world. Right?
Haven't we all?
Yeah.
Let's be honest about it.
Let's be honest about that. But that is the soft power of the royal family, right? So they've always done that. It's not really seen as being political, hosting a political figure, because they've always had to do that. Yeah, Idi Amin, I think, came to visit, and we've had all sorts of nasty people.
Do you remember when Prince Charles had to sit next to some do somewhere?
But
and
I think
he turned his face. It was brilliant.
For Charles to be told to invite Donald Trump by Keir Starmer is soft power, right? That is the soft power in play. I don't think that's King Charles being political.
No, I mean it would be political if he said no.
If he said no,
but would
it be political, or would it just be moral?
Why moral?
Well, we don't like bullies, do we?
Well, this is so nuanced. I didn't like, let me be very clear, I did not like what happened in the Oval Office. If you think I'm sitting here as an apologist for Donald and JD, I'm not JD. I don't even know his name is JD Vance. What does it stand for? Jack Daniels. I think it's Jack Daniels Vance.
I have my own version of what that stands
for. Stop it. Anyway.
Somebody said here, Petrie, give it a rest about Trump. Go watch the whole video of the White House meeting. Oh, dear, Pete. If you really think I didn't watch the whole video, then I have to feel sorry for you.
This is the whole thing is dreadful because there's so many bad actors involved in this.
Yeah.
The whole thing's ghastly. Nobody wants people getting killed and blown to pieces and maimed. Nobody wants that. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. But if you're given $350 billion, $350 billion.
But he hasn't. That's a lie.
That's a fib. What do you think?
It's been about 120 billion, 70% of which was spent in America to replenish the stocks of the weapons that they were going to have to get rid of, and they sent to Zelensky. So the 350 billion is not a true figure. That is a figure that has come about by confusion, and it's been independently verified by many different people. I mean, 120 billion is a lot of money, but 70% of that money was spent in the US replenishing the weapons that they were going to have to get rid of anyway, and the weapons they were going to have to decommission, they sent to Ukraine.
Of course,
right.
Look. Let's be real about this.
But I wish somebody would tell Donald Trump that.
It's the perfect war for this reason, right? For America. One, they can flog all the stuff they don't want anymore, get rid of it. Oh, good, we were going to give it to a charity shop. We might as well give it to them.
Well, they were going to have to spend billions on decommissioning it.
Absolutely. So we'll flog them this garbage we don't want because it's out of date.
Yep.
And they've got the perfect, and this sounds horrible, but it is true, and I live in the real world, where they can test all the new stuff in a... Yeah, I know. I pull the same face inside as well, but they test the new stuff because they're in a real war theatre. I don't mean the Garrick, and they can see if it works or not, but it doesn't have to be American troops getting
and he's always said, we're an ocean away.
Yeah.
The trouble is that war now is not fought on the battlefield. We know not only on the battlefield. War will visit the mainland of America, just not in the way he thinks it will. With Hamas being particularly violently angry about what his plans are for Gaza, there will be war visiting the mainland of America. So I don't wish it on anybody, but there will be.
Well, they're always angry.
And so but he's going, well, I've got an ocean. You haven't these days.
Oh, not anymore.
Not anymore. It doesn't work like that.
You see all the protesters and you think, well, that. Some of them are legitimate protesters, some of them are absolute fifth columnists. There's no ifs or buts about it. You know it. It's like the Manchurian candidate times a gazillion.
I know that the King is not going to withdraw the invitation, but was it just slightly unedifying to see Keir Starmer sucking up to him in that way?
Oh. I've got the word unedifying and Keir Starmer in one sentence. I've got nowhere else to go. I can't touch beetroot, all right? If I see beetroot on my plate, all right, my meal's ruined, right?
So are your clothes, usually.
If I see Keir, I just lose it.
I didn't like the simpering.
I didn't like the other lot either.
No, I didn't either. I didn't either.
I thought they were all terrible.
But the sort of simpering, touching his arm and going, oh, this is unprecedented. It just felt so...
He does sit in a very odd way. I'll just put that out there. I mean, it's like, why are you sitting like that? Pierre, Trudeau, Justin Trudeau, you think, why are you... It's a very odd way to sit. I don't sit like that.
No, but J.D. Vance's trousers go up to his knees when he sits down. What's that about? What is that about? They're above his socks. I mean, does it flood in the White House?
Because he is sponsored by a sock company.
Ah, that's what it is.
Every time the socks get shown, he gets another million.
I mean, literally, you've solved the puzzle for me.
That is a fact.
Yeah.
Well, you just asked me if you invite me here. You know I've got these facts at my fingertips.
Let's have a look at the Wall Street Journal now.
Let's.
This is obviously, it's a Murdoch paper. The Wall Street Journal. Joking
aside, I did not know that. I don't know that. Okay.
European allies see. I don't know where his relationship is with Trump because they fell out, didn't they, for a while?
Probably.
And then I think they're friends. I don't know.
Who knows?
What's going on. But European allies seek to forge their own Ukraine peace plan. Surely it doesn't matter, does it? As long as one of us gets it done, right?
Yeah. Do you want to? Let me ask you this then. Do you want to see British troops in Ukraine?
In terms of the peace?
Yeah. No, fighting.
No, they won't be fighting.
How come?
Because they're not going there to fight. They're going there when the peace is organised.
Oh, well, if they go there when the peace is...
No. He's promised troops and air cover.
Air support, yes.
When a peace is agreed.
Yeah, not before.
Not before, no. Not at any
because
point.
that would be diabolical.
He has said boots on the ground when there's a peace.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't know why everybody's missing that last bit of the statement. I don't know where it's got out.
I don't think it was made clear.
It was made clear. It is clear. He was talking about the peace and how the Europeans have got to stand up and they've got to do their bit, and he's prepared to commit British troops. And maybe that's where people got it wrong.
Yeah.
But he's prepared to commit those troops to the peacekeeping. But
not.
No. There's been no mention. We're not going to war with Russia. We're not going there to
last
support.
About 35 seconds.
Well, Russia is weaker than we think. Come on, why do you think Putin wants a peace?
He's Poots to you now.
Putin.
He's Vlad to me.
Is he? Vla.
Yeah, just V. Just V.
Poots.
Me and V.
Or poopy pants. Sometimes. Depending if we're being a bit cheeky with each other.
Depends if you want to fall out a window, Petrie, quite frankly.
I know.
I hope these are all sealed.
Why do you think I live in a basement?
We're quite high up.
There's nowhere to go. They could bury me in the garden.
Journalist suddenly disappears through sealed window.
I don't go any higher than the first floor now.
No, thank
just
God,
in case.
don't.
Just in case.
Don't. I'll stay in the shed.
But yeah, I don't know. Look,
it's all horrible. Look, eventually the deal will be done. You know.
It has to be, but Russia is weaker. If you think that after 3 years, Russia is happy with the land grab that it's made, and it wanted more but couldn't be bothered, then we're all literally mad, because obviously he wanted to take it all the way, and he couldn't against Ukraine. You know,
when you say it like that, it's like, well, wait a minute, that's pretty. But that's conventional warfare, of course.
That is conventional warfare, but
It's
Ukraine has held that conventional warfare back.
Yeah.
If this giant bear was really that full of teeth and claws,
do
you really think they would have stopped where they? Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So everybody's overestimating the power and the strength of Russia because of history, and because of we all go, oh, it's so, but all of their equipment. If you remember when they first went into Ukraine, all the tyres were blowing because they were old and they were Chinese tyres. They couldn't get their tanks across mud because they were all rotten old stuff. Yeah. So they're weakened, Russia, and also they're much more broke than they would give you credit, than they would ever tell us. So they really want this peace to happen, but they want it to happen. Yeah, of course. Why would they stop where they have? Why haven't they taken Odessa? That's the bit they wanted, because that gives them the key to the Black Sea. They got nowhere near it. Well, they did get near it, near Mariupol, but they didn't go there because they couldn't.
Well, the big difference is when it's your country and
fight.
People are invading, it's like, well, if my back's against the wall, I'm gonna fight. This is my home. This is my country. When you're invading, it's like, well, where the hell are we today? You know, you pop your head out of the tank, and I don't know where I am, some forest somewhere. You know, you don't have that impetus because it's not your country.
No, and I think that a lot of the Russian soldiers, of course, have been conscripted. They're not really 12. In it. They're not willing. They're not, you know.
They don't want to be.
Whereas the Ukrainians
they want to be there. They don't want to be there.
No, of course they don't. The Ukrainians are willing and able to fight. But if anybody thinks that Russia is in a strong position and could have done more and didn't do more, you're mad, because he wanted Odessa desperately to lock down the Black Sea and to close that port off to Ukraine, and he's failed to do that, and he has failed to do anything near what he wanted to do. How or why? Because they're not as strong as they told us they were.
And they were no way were they anticipating this level.
No clue.
This level of They thought we'll breeze in. The whole thing.
They thought there'd be roses thrown in front of the tanks, and there'd be speeches. Yeah, they genuinely thought they were liberating.
How did they get it that wrong?
Well, because they believed that the people of Ukraine wanted to be Russian. So
some do.
Some do. Well, it's not a long walk. You want to be Russian?
You want to go?
Go to
Cheerio!
Russia.
Off you go then. Get the bus.
Yeah. So look, everybody wants a peace, but I agree that it has to be a lasting peace. Poots cannot be trusted. We know that. he, you know, once
He is
a
the
gangster.
ultimate. I was going to say
Yeah.
the ultimate gangster, and I'm not using something from like South London or whatever. I mean, he's a terrifying man.
Yeah.
And anyone who doesn't think he's an absolutely ruthless, terrifying man
Absolutely.
just doesn't understand.
Doesn't
the world.
understand. But it's
No,
it's
he's
interesting
scary as hell.
that Donald Trump is convinced that he's true to his word about wanting peace.
Sometimes I think things are just above our pay grade, because we could sit here, and I was talking about it earlier today, and I say, well, we can talk about it for hours. What difference are we going to make? We're not. They're going to. The deal will be done. It'll be done properly behind closed doors. That whole confrontation in the Oval Office all should have been done privately.
That's what I was saying. Should have been done privately.
Unedifying.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything. Well, no one's ever seen anything like it.
No, we've never seen anything like it.
I mean, it was definitely. I understand what you were reading something off your screen from one of your listeners, and I understand that, because if you watch the body language, it's like, Zelensky's sitting there, he's got the old arms crossed, he's getting a bit before it kicked off.
That's he's got all these people around him looking at him, and he knows that this is not going to go well. I'd be defensive. In fact, I'd have launched across.
I would be absolutely. There's wonderful memes.
Which is why I'm not allowed.
Which why you're not allowed. I, on the other hand, will be going with my new sock collection to JD Vance.
And there's a new eyeliner collection as well that JD Vance quite likes.
Is there?
Have you not seen him? He looks like he's got permanent eyeliner.
Does he?
Guyliner.
Guyliner
by JD Vance.
Did you make that up? It'll be Guyliner. I had this in Tennessee. Well, there we go.
There we go.
The best bit off the Wall Street Journal, may I just say, is that schools revive shop class. And I think this is great. In America's most surprising cutting-edge classes, students hands-on work with wood, metal, machinery, getting a jump on the old school careers.
I thought it was like shopping class. I don't need that.
Well, no, you don't. The kids do.
Maybe shopping. We used to do, the boys did woodwork at my school.
Were you not allowed near the woodwork?
No, the girls weren't allowed to do woodwork.
Serious?
No, that wasn't a girls' school. One girl was allowed to do technical drawing, because that was considered too masculine for us. No, we did typing classes and sewing.
Please tell me you're joking.
I'm not joking.
I don't know, because I was at a boys' school, so who the hell knows? But we didn't get
to do woodwork or mechanics or anything like that.
Woodwork.
No, that was all for boys.
Doug Thornton was his name.
But that's good. I mean, also, people should learn how to, do mortgages and stuff like that.
I've been saying this for years. We've both been saying this for years. Stop doing stuff which is absolutely pointless. When's the last time you used logarithm signs and cosines? Never. Tangents? Never.
Never.
Ever, right?
Never.
And I'm 102 and I've never used it since I left school. Teach how to do a basic household budget, how to understand a mortgage.
Yeah.
You got income of £100, you're spending £150, you got a problem there. How do you solve it?
Yeah, exactly
it's
that.
Not,
it really isn't.
It
is important, and I think we ought to return to those. Washington, also, President Trump promised during his campaign to lower prices on day one of his presidency, but with costs still high, Republicans are worried that the economic factors that helped Trump win the election could come back to bite him if inflation remains stubborn. Very interesting as well. This was printed before the markets closed, but the Dow Jones has dropped like a flipping stone, nearly 2% drop, which is huge because of the tariff announcement on.
It was too soon.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have done the
and it's pushing up. Of course, it's pushing up prices as well. But eggs apparently are just crazy expensive over in the States at the moment. Eggs. Like, $15 for a carton of 12.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you got to the stage over here, or is it just me? When you go shopping in your local supermarket, and I don't mean the posh ones, I mean, I'm not going to name them, obviously, why should I? And I put more stuff back on the shelf. I go, oh, you'll have that. And I look, and I go, no, thank you. And I put it back. It's all mad.
The price. I mean, I got a delivery the other day because I don't like going into the shops anymore because people.
You're too well known. Be honest.
And got a delivery, and I said to the delivery, I said, Is that it? It all goes in one tray now. Is that it? 50 quid.
It was a carton of eggs,
Yeah.
a bottle of milk.
Yeah.
That was
I
it.
literally was like, is that... That's it. He went, yeah, there's nothing else for you on the van. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
How many bottles of Petrus did you order?
Yeah.
I had a
It's actually
thimble
surprising that actually mostly it was dog treats, I have to be honest.
Yeah.
But they're really expensive
Everything's
now.
expensive.
I know,
It's
God.
party. I don't know how we're supposed to do it.
I don't know how we're
Anyway,
supposed
there
to
we are.
afford anything anymore. Right, we're going to take a quick break, but Russ Kane and I will be back just shortly.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, good to have your company, and with me is Russ Kane, writer, broadcaster and celebrant. We're going through the papers for Tuesday. Have you got the Mirror up front?
I have.
Yeah, let's just do that. That's just come in.
Okie dokie.
Literally hot off the press.
It is, I think
The
so.
Daily Mirror, United Kingdom. President says Zelenskyy doesn't want peace as he blasts Europe. I mean, that was interesting because Donald Trump both praised Europe and then blasted Europe in almost the same sentence. So I'm not quite sure where he stands on that. But he says, in a rare show of unity, MPs from all sides have backed Keir Starmer in his support for Ukraine against Russia. Tory MP James Cleverly, I saw him stand up in the House actually, says that Starmer had not put a foot wrong in talks with European leaders, including Ukraine's Mr. Zelenskyy. But President Trump stoked discord again, saying of the hero, this guy doesn't want peace, and Europe, what are they thinking? So he wants Europe to stand up, and then when Europe does stand up, he just makes fun of them.
But if you look at a lot of the social media sites coming out of the States, I understand. I didn't like it. I thought it was very rude and boorish and bullying, and it was kind of like a horrible version of Alan Sugar, really, which is ghastly. But if you're sitting in Tennessee or you're sitting in Winnipeg, you don't even know where the hell Ukraine is. Most people don't know where the hell Ukraine is. It's gigantic. Everyone thinks it's the size of, the Isle of Wight. It's enormous.
It's enormous.
It's absolutely huge.
It's the largest European country, isn't it?
It's massive, right?
You know what I mean by Europe.
But Trump wanted, they don't want any more money going there. They don't care. They don't care.
Even though they signed an accord after the Second World War that Ukraine gave up the third largest arsenal of nuclear weapons, and in return they were promised never-ending support and defence from Russia.
Yeah, they just don't want to win. So I can see it was like grandstanding. I mean, it was all. I don't know if they really lost their temper. Well, no, they did lose their temper, but I don't know if it was prearranged. They're going to lose their temper.
It felt like it was prearranged.
I thought it was like, I'm waiting and waiting. Now,
Yeah.
boom, let's blow a fuse.
And Donald Trump signalled the reporter to ask about the suit as well.
I got a point about that, and it's not an original point. Somebody else made it. I can't claim originality. I wish I could, right? I don't care what he turns up in.
He's at war.
He's at war, and I think he once said, I will put a suit back on when the war's over.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. I don't have a problem with it. No one said, hey, Elon, you're turning up in jeans, a leather jacket and a baseball cap. No one says, do you mind putting on a suit?
Because, because he's obviously, Donald Trump owes him hundreds of millions, and also he bought the election for him. But Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. And Winston
noticed how you
Churchill...
just-
It's true. Winston
saying.
Churchill turned up in... He had a sort of like a baby grow suit.
It was a boiler suit.
Boiler
He
suit.
wore
He
blue-
invented... It was a velvet,
It was a
velvet boiler suit thing.
blue
And he
velvet,
turned up
yeah.
at the White House in that because he was a country at war.
Precisely so.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with
Yeah.
it. You know what it is? It's shifting focus away from important stuff. Like, he's not wearing a suit. Oh, who cares? Doesn't matter.
Do you own a suit? I mean, what a
he was
nasty
really
man.
that guy. I should know who he is because I follow him
His name's
avidly.
Robert something, and he's going out with Marjorie Taylor thingy what's it, who's the right-wing MAGA woman.
Oh,
I'm being nice.
I quite like it. That's
Do you?
Well,
Yeah.
they all look attractive. What do I know?
Well, yeah. Anyway, yes, so President Trump is saying, what is Europe thinking?
what are they thinking?
What are they thinking?
Yeah, what's that?
Yeah, so
Well, you can
there
get a
you go.
holiday for 15 quid.
Yeah.
That's better
That's the other
news.
thing.
Frankly, that's
The
better news.
Times
Here we go, Times,
newspaper
right.
for
Yeah.
tomorrow. Trump lambasts Europe for showing weakness. President criticises demand for US security guarantee. Growing fears he will halt Ukraine aid, which would be an interesting step. I was talking earlier to Paul Beaver, who is a brilliant defence analyst, and there's not been a lot said about Turkey at the moment, but of course Turkey has the second largest force in NATO. So I'm just waiting to see how much Turkey wants to step in, and they've already been quite vocal. They were at that meeting, so that'll be interesting. Don't underestimate. Don't underestimate.
They've got that leader who's...
Erdogan, who's facing election, but the guy who's likely to replace him is more left-leaning, so could be more amicable to supporting us. Look, we need a big NATO country to support us if the peace is to last. I mean, this is the thing, you can enforce a peace, but making it last, when we've already seen Putin take Crimea and say, I'm happy with that, and then a few years later came back and tried to take the whole of Ukraine.
It's not an all-you-can-eat buffet.
No, and he's not somebody you can trust with a peace unless you
think?
back it up with strength. The other story, 1/3 of children to
Yeah.
be overweight by 2050.
Is this a promise or a
This is a
hypothesis?
monumental societal failure. The number of obese children and adults in Britain could rise by more than half in some age groups. But this surely has got to do with the kind of cheap food that's available, right?
Look, this really makes me blow a fuse with this stuff, right? What do we see on TV all the time, all the time, all the time? I'm not going to mention any names, obviously, right? Fast food. I'm not calling it junk food, I'm calling it fast
You
food.
look in the poorer areas as well. Every other shop is a fast food outlet.
I know. Well, you know where I am normally.
Yeah.
And every other food. And also, when you're driving around, in any major conurbation, all you ever see is guys on mopeds delivering food. People can't bother to get off the backsides and even go to the shops to get it. It's got to be delivered.
I don't bother to go to the shops.
Well, as I said, you're too well known. You'd be swamped. You'd be swamped. People
I'm
wanting
lazy.
pictures. And I always go to that. I never have anything delivered.
Oh, God. I
Ever.
always do.
Ever.
Always do.
A
Can't be
book,
bothered.
maybe, but I won't otherwise.
Can't be bothered. Don't do
Yeah.
that for.
Lovely picture. I do like this picture of Adrian Brody. Have you seen all these films?
No, I haven't seen any of them.
Okay. The one with Kieran Culkin, I saw all these last year, right? And what's it called? A Real Pain. I adored. I thought
It's supposed to be quite funny.
I loved it. I cried.
Yeah.
It was absolutely gorgeous. The Brutalist, I thought, was one of the best films I've seen.
Yeah,
in the
Josh
last
says
10
it's
years.
absolutely brilliant. I haven't seen it yet.
And they were really cheap films. I mean, incredibly
Yeah, yeah.
cheap.
Oh, like a Nora as well. Very,
Yeah.
very cheap. And that
Yeah.
swept the Oscars 5
All right, I
awards.
haven't seen that, and
No,
to be
I've
honest,
not
I
seen
don't know anything about it at all. And Zoe
They're
Saldana.
independents, weren't they?
Yeah, they're a small film. I mean, the Brutalist cost, I think, 9-10 million, which is like peanuts.
Nothing. Yeah.
I know you and I would be very happy with it, but in terms of a movie, it's absolute peanuts. It's nothing.
It's not.
Nothing at all.
It's really, and it is good to see the independent movies winning and actually start telling some really good stories
Yeah,
rather
they were
than
great stories.
Dune 14 or 2 or
Oh, no,
whatever it was.
Dune 1 and 2 was really good. I'll be honest with you. I really liked it. But the Marvel universe and all the rest of it is trash now. Trash. Awful.
Well, you wait to see what Amazon do to...
Oh, don't. With the James
Bond.
Bond thing, I have this conversation every Saturday morning with my film producing best buddy. It's going to be
There's going to be
James.
It's going to be James Bond the child, James Bond at university. Sure. There's going to be a Q at uni. There's going to be an M. There's going to be, you know, it's going to be.
They're just going to trash.
They are going to do about 16 different spin-offs.
Yeah, awful.
It's going to be
I
great.
can't bear it. Young James
an animated
Bond.
series.
Oh,
yes.
Oh, his twin sister, Jane Bond.
Yeah,
There she
Jane
is.
Bond. She'll be in. Yeah.
Yeah, she'll be.
There'll be
Yeah.
M getting out there,
be-
like Hong Kong Phooey. It'll be great. It'll be great.
Cutting edge reference there. So this whole thing about kids being overweight, right? It's no more expensive and doesn't take any longer to cook something halfway decent than it does.
I used to think that. And I don't anymore.
Seriously?
Because it depends, first of all, A, if you've got the skills, and B, if you've got the time. And I know you're saying it doesn't take much longer, but it does. And what you've got to remember is not everybody lives the way that we live. There are people living in high-rise blocks of flats. You might have 2 bedrooms and you've got 5 children. Maybe you haven't even got an oven. Maybe you can't afford an oven. There's a lot of people in such extreme poverty that they haven't got an oven that's working. They use a microwave because it's cheaper to run.
Okay.
They can't afford to run the oven. They can't afford to use the gas.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons actually now that I have climbed back from that. I still believe that it is, for me, it's great. I can cook a meal. I cooked a meal the other day. It cost me £4. It will last me 5 days because I'll just have a little bit of it each day.
You nick somebody's cow from a field or something.
I know. I do this chipotle bean stew. It's absolutely to die for. It's delicious.
Please never
Gabriella's
serve me
had
that.
some.
Please never serve me that, please.
It's delicious.
No, it might be, but I'll be in your bathroom for the whole evening.
All right.
So
Well,
please
maybe
don't
that's
do
why
that.
I'll serve it to you.
That's not nice.
No, I'm joking.
I invited him round, but he's in the bathroom,
But
everybody.
it's still, you know, it was cheap, it was cheerful, it didn't take me very long, but I know how to cook, and I've got an oven that works, and I'm not in poverty. So, but I do understand that people who live a different life, they've perhaps got 2 jobs, they need something really cheap. You go somewhere like Iceland, to name one of the many of the cheap providers, you can get all these meals for £1. I get it. They're not very good
I like
quality.
that stuff, I'll be honest.
Do you?
I quite like it. I do quite like it, but I try not to eat fast food.
No, I don't eat the fast foods.
Because
I
I
don't.
don't like
Everything
it.
in my house, I do cook. I do cook it, but I think it's so easy to judge other people by our own lives and not think about the actual
I
lives that
wasn't
they
being
lead.
judgmental. I want them to look after a younger generation,
I know.
not to give them lots of horrible
I agree.
medical stuff, which is a time bomb ticking for the kids.
I absolutely agree,
That's
but
it.
I
I'm
do
not,
think
I'm not knocking how they live in the least.
I do think that a lot of people's circumstances are not as easy as that. That they can't get the time or the energy to do it. I think.
Yeah.
Anyhow, it's down to these fast food people to make sure the food's not quite so
Are you going
disgusting.
to a break, or can I read
Yeah,
something?
no, I'm going to a break.
Oh, fair enough then.
Yeah, it's got to do with you. Right, quick break. Back in a sec.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
We can have a word with that. Hello there. is Petrie here with you until... sorry. I was saying something incredibly inappropriate. I do apologise.
Just a bit.
Yeah, not for broadcast though.
No.
Ross Kane is in the studio with me, and we're looking through the papers for tomorrow. The Guardian is
Can
saying...
I read one thing to you?
Oh,
before
yes,
read
you
the
can.
Guardian?
Yes, you can.
I always love the little tiny bits of news tucked way away.
Yeah.
You know, normally next to the Greyhound racing results on page 98. And it just says Bankers Tribunal. I don't know what the tribunal's about. I've no idea. But this is when you've said things and you think, you know, that hasn't aged well. Let me read you this.
Yeah.
Jess Staley, I know nothing about, presumably him or her, the former Barclays boss who faces a ban from the city, are you ready for this? Told Jeffrey Epstein to hang in there after Epstein's paedophilia conviction, a tribunal has been told.
I mean, that's a bit ironic,
Hang in
given the
there.
way that Epstein killed himself.
I was trying not to. I was trying to get through
Maybe
that.
you took that advice literally.
Well, he did. He hung in there.
Yeah, he did. I need to know more on that story. It's annoying, isn't it, when it's just the nib on the
Just a
front.
tiny little bit.
Tiny little nib.
Guardian.
Right, The Guardian. Ministers to tackle crisis over schools' special needs. Labour is preparing to overhaul special educational need provision in English schools as councils raise the alarm over debts running into hundreds of millions of pounds, pushing many of them to the brink of bankruptcy. And this is, some people would say, this is because of an overzealous parenting that are getting their children diagnosed with ADHD, for example, or, you know, these things which require then special needs education. The numbers have
Exploded.
Exponentially, yeah.
How do you feel about when you see articles and it says, you know what, back in the day, no one had an allergic reaction to peanuts, or something like that. I don't know. I'm not a medical person. You can die. I know you can die from peanuts. I get that if you're allergic. But all this stuff.
Probably people did die. We just didn't know about it.
Didn't know what it was from.
Yeah, we didn't know what it was from.
That's kind of my view on it.
Yeah.
You know.
But I mean, also, there are a lot of people who are diagnosed now, and a lot of parents push for those diagnoses because they get more support for their children. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, is it because we have a greater issue with those neurodivergencies, or is it being overdiagnosed? But whatever's happening, it is causing councils to very quickly run out of money because they're responsible.
The figures are horrendous.
Yeah.
Over 100 million up to 312 million.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a
Huge.
lot.
Huge.
The Daily Mail, Meghan's new Netflix series starts.
Come on, I was hoping to get through the whole evening without the M word.
There you go. That starts, I think it started tonight.
Oh, shame I've missed it. There you go.
Tomorrow? I don't know.
There we are. What's she flogging now?
Herself.
Oh,
Probably a dead donkey, to be fair.
Just a bit.
Yeah, it's some
Megan, it's over, love.
Cookery
Stop it,
programme
please.
or something. And the big story, of course, is hopes of a Ukraine peace deal were on the brink last night after Donald Trump warned he would not put up with Volodymyr Zelenskyy for much longer. His latest diplomatic hand grenade, the US president hinted he could pull the plug on funding for Kyiv altogether after his angry clash with the Ukrainian president. He then turned his fire on European countries, including the UK, over their demands for America to provide a security backstop if a peace deal is agreed.
I thought you were going to say, and the big news is that Mia Gen's new Netflix series is similar to Pammy's show.
It is, apparently. Here we go.
What's that? Go on, then.
Let me just read the rest of this to you. His comments came hours after Sir Keir Starmer told MPs he would not send British troops to keep the peace in Ukraine unless the US provides security guarantees.
You
See? And PM agreed it would be utter folly to send those British forces into harm's way without American support. So he's talking about those troops being used for peacekeeping.
For peace.
But he's saying that obviously that peace needs to be guaranteed. And that's where it would be America. They don't have to send troops there, but they would have to say, look, if Russia attacks again, then we will secure it. He's never going to say that.
He won't agree to that
He won't
in a million years.
But he should.
He won't.
He won't.
I love the front page of the top bit.
So,
You got a little bit of art going on, pop art here, and he goes, huge headline. And this is the Daily Mail, obviously. Why this winter's flu has been so awful, and next year could be even worse. Something else to worry about that you haven't even thought about. Something else to make you think, oh, for God's sake, stop.
I mean, honestly.
It just, they know. They don't know.
They don't know. The Daily Express.
Yep.
PM Starmer warns future of Ukraine is vital for our national security. That I do agree with. UK must lead from the front to stop Russia menace. Britain will lead from the front. I mean, Britain, and this is another question. People go, why Britain? Well, Britain and France are the only two countries in Europe that have nuclear weapons. So we have to be at the forefront of any peace deal, because you can only sustain peace with strength, and that's why the UK and France are together in leading this whole thing.
Yeah.
And even Merz in Germany, the new chancellor, will be when they set up the coalition, the government, has said that it must be Britain and France that provides an umbrella of safety for Europe if Donald Trump removes his.
Because everyone always thinks, with Russia, that you're going to see snow on the boots, as they used to say, these silly stories from World War II. They've landed, there's snow on the boots. Of course they didn't. But, rumours spread like crazy. Why not? There were scary times. But they attack this country all the time, 24/7.
That's what I'm saying. War doesn't happen in the same way.
Cyber attacks the entire
all the time.
It never, ever stops. I can't say how I know, I just do.
It never stops. And we don't get to hear about it because at the moment they've been able to stop it.
You're not allowed to stop it.
But there will come a time when something really significant happens, and that is an attack from Russia.
Huge. We can't really talk about it, but these are serious. This is not like, oh, I've lost my Wi-Fi.
Yeah, no, this is serious stuff.
I can't download, Amazon Prime or something. No, these are really horrendous attacks.
Yeah.
Do you think I'm 80? Rod keeps on rocking.
You've got to love a bit of Rod
I
Stewart.
love Rod Stewart. Rod
Stewart.
How good did Mick Jagger look at the Oscars? He looked sensational.
Unbelievable.
He looks
It's
sensational.
all those children keeping him young.
He is just incredible.
Yeah.
Just incredible.
Yeah, and Rod Stewart. Love Rod Stewart.
Love Rod.
Do you think that's still his own hair?
What, Rod's?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah.
How do you know? He pulled it.
First of all, I've pulled it. Obviously, Rod loves it when I do that.
Yeah, bless him.
When we're getting our fast food together. And also, because when he's working on stage, he gets hot. It's sweaty.
But a wig could make you hot.
But the hair, if you're wearing a wig, you see?
Just saying.
When you're
I'm only
wearing
I'm asking the questions that most people are thinking about. Right.
Well,
I don't think anybody's thinking about it, to be fair.
about Mick's. A lot of people are very sniffy on Facebook today about Mick's hair. I won't hear a word about it.
No.
Absolutely not. Jack Vetriano died. Painter. Did you like his stuff?
No.
Fair enough. Next topic.
Quick break. Back in a sec.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, great to have your company, and with me in the studio getting me into all sorts of trouble is Russ Kane, writer, broadcaster and celebrant. That's the trouble, is you and I get very naughty. Very naughty
Yes.
when we're together.
That should be a separate show.
It really should be, and not one for broadcast either. Not if you have a nervous disposition anyway.
Absolutely not.
The Metro for Tuesday, a TikTok child
Yeah,
sex
this is
probe.
horrible stuff.
Social media giant TikTok is being investigated over how it uses children's data, as a separate probe claimed that it was earning money from live-streamed sex performances by girls aged just 15. Well, I don't know what the algorithm is for those people, because when I look at TikTok, I get lots of dog videos of dogs being rehomed. It's one of my favourites.
I like that.
And dogs that talk, which is another one of my absolute favourites.
Dogs that talk.
Well, I mean, yes, of course they talk, but somebody might be talking for them. Somebody told me, but I don't believe
You're
it.
kidding me.
And lots of stuff on Donald Trump. I don't get sex
I never watched it.
videos sent to me. So the algorithms that people are getting, it's a bit weird. But of course, TikTok is a Chinese company.
It is
China.
a Chinese company.
And it was going to be banned, wasn't it, in the States? But it hasn't been yet.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about that for ages. You can just be famous for being an idiot dancing around your bathroom, and meanwhile everybody else, the grown-ups in China and Russia, are getting on with stuff.
Yeah. But anyway, look, if that is something that's going on, I'd question those people with algorithms where they get these videos turning up.
I'm more
for them.
impressed that you could read this, because this is the worst printing.
I know, my
I
eyesight's
don't know how
really
you see
weird.
this.
I know.
You're just guessing at it. I can't read it.
Yeah, China-owned video platform takes a cut of around 70% from emoji gifts paid by men to watch shows by women in Africa. And it's when somebody goes live on TikTok, you can send them emoji gifts. I mean, I watch some of them when they do a live thing, but I don't contribute. I don't send them gifts or anything. So you sort of pay for those.
Is that money?
It can't be sent as money, but it's a gift that will cost you something. So you buy this little gift or a love heart or something, and then you can send that to this person, and then they get some money from it. But TikTok will take the lion's share of that money. But it's another way of earning money.
I had no idea, but I
another
never
way of
ever
earning
watched
money.
TikTok. I never go near it.
I'm going to be doing a TikTok page soon,
Are you?
showing my feet or something. I need to earn an extra bit of money. My dog's
You'll
costing me a
make
fortune at the moment.
Don't talk to me about dogs at the moment. She's
how was that?
biting me every day
Oh,
now.
bless her, because she's confused.
She's 6. She was 16 the other week.
Oh,
Bless her. She's so. I adore her, but
I
boy,
know.
oh boy, oh boy. We're now staring at the wall. I think she learned that from me, but she's staring at the wall.
bless her.
And I'm like, oh,
She's got dementia, hasn't she?
Yeah, she's got doggy dementia. Which is why I'm getting bitten.
Yeah, well, they always say that women who get dementia become more angry
My
and
mum-
violent
oh my God.
than men do.
They do.
Yeah,
Well, my
and
mum
it's
had it for
because
years.
they
It's awful.
think it's because in human. I don't know about dogs, but
No.
in with human beings, it's because women have to suppress their anger and violence a lot.
You
as
don't.
Human, I don't.
You'll be fine.
I'll be all right.
You'll be a sweetheart.
I'll be lovely.
You're so feisty now.
And then, so they think that's why women, once that suppression isn't there, where they can't control that, then they become more angry.
Yeah,
and violent.
oh God.
Let's have a look at the FT.
The old FT.
Trump's return helps drive an upsurge in Americans applying to be UK citizens.
Yeah.
As if I didn't say this a couple of months ago.
You did.
That this would
Yeah,
happen.
you did.
So we've got a lot of Americans. Apparently we're the second or third choice for Americans. Canada's first.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of them want to go and live in Canada. I don't blame them. Canada's fabulous.
Well,
I love the Canadian people.
They're very nice. They're
They're
like
so
Americans
funny.
with great manners.
They're like Americans with a sense of humour.
Do you think?
Yeah, they're funny. They're funny. They're dry. They're like
Oh,
us.
yeah, they're very dry. I like Canada. I've been there a couple
Yeah, I
of
like
times. It's really
Canada.
it's very beautiful and enormous.
Huge. And of course, Mark Carney's taking over soon, isn't he? The ex-Bank of England boss. He's going to be stepping in as interim Prime Minister
Is
when
he?
Trudeau steps down. Yeah.
How do
Might be
you know
interesting.
that? Is he Canadian?
Yes.
Oh, right. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I was going to think that's a good gig.
So anyway, that's
You
a
see
really
that
interesting.
on LinkedIn being advertised.
Yeah.
Think
No,
you could
he
run
is
a
Canadian.
country? Apply here.
And I liked Mark Carney when he was Bank of England chief. He was good. He knew what he was doing. And Europeans moved towards seizing 200 billion euros of frozen Russian assets
Yeah, that'll
in
do.
the hope that this will pay towards defence.
That'll do.
That'll do.
That'll help.
We'll have that. We'll have that.
That'll be okay. I can't read any of this. You've got a better copy than me. I love this. This is my
The
favourite.
Daily Star.
The Daily Star.
love the
Now,
Daily
we're getting
Star.
down to my
It
level
gives me
now.
joy.
This is just great. Money for now. So there's a picture of a robot with a vacuum cleaner, right? Money for Nout while they do all the work. And this is how it goes by Kate Nelson, who's certainly got away with words, may I just say. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. Scumbag chatbots. Kate, no, it's brilliant. Scumbag chatbots will be doing so many of our jobs soon, we'll have to be paid to do nothing. Bet robo-lackey won't take the bins out, though.
The rise of the robo-lackeys. Yeah, this is, of course, leading us towards a universal income, which has been talked about a lot. There's a policy group now looking at what happens when robots do take over many of the jobs that human beings will do, certainly in manufacturing and things like that. And the business owners will not be able to think of them as computers or robots, that they will have to pay almost like an income tax or a VAT or some kind of tax, national insurance, on behalf of the robots that they put in. So that companies will have to put, because that money will have to go to the exchequer in order for the rest of us who are going to be sitting around doing nothing to get paid a universal income of about 10 grand a year. So everybody, no matter their circumstance, would get this universal income. And then there'll be no benefits, there'll be no nothing, that will be it. Everyone will get 10 grand a year. This is the policy decision.
What if you can't make it last?
Then you go to work. So you can go to work, but you can go and do another job or go and do different work, and then you can top up your income that way. But if you don't, then that's what you've got to live on.
Okay.
That's the idea.
And soon it'll be,
now.
do they have souls? Are they people? You know, this is all Isaac Asimov, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do androids dream of electric sheep and all the rest of it? It's all coming true.
It's all coming true.
It'll all be happening, just as they predicted.
Yep.
Exactly as they did.
Rise of the robo-lackeys. I'm very disappointed with the Star. They haven't put a seagull in that picture, though.
Put a what?
Seagull.
Why?
Well, they normally have seagulls on every picture, so it's very disappointing.
Is that...
Do better with your Pritt stick in you.
And then this one, Dyer, E.T. get on your blower. I don't even know what
I don't know
means.
what Danny Dye's going on about.
I have no idea.
But isn't he related to the King? Did I see that somewhere? Danny Dyer is related to the King? Just look that up for me. Yes, he is, see my team nodding at me.
You are not serious.
I am serious.
Mind you, you've never seen them together, have you? Separated at birth.
Yeah, it was the Who Do You Think You Are programme that you went on.
Oh, I quite like that show.
Perhaps we're all related to the King.
We're related.
King Edward III. He's descended from King Edward III. Danny Dyer.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'm buying
Every day's
it.
a school day.
I'm buying it.
Right. The Eye.
The Eye.
UK hunts new allies to keep Putin at bay as Trump launches another broadside. The UK approaches the Middle East countries. This is what's going to happen. It's going to be, I've been saying this as well, it'll be the Arab nations that step in, because you've got Saudi Arabia, which has an enormous military and enormous wealth, and they've sort of kept out of things. But this is the new world order, and we're going to have to go to somebody. And if it's not America, we're going to have to go to a country whose human rights I don't agree with.
You're just slightly dubious. But Saudi, of course, has got all the American... Well, they've got British arms.
They've got a lot, Qatar
stuff.
as well. But so is Germany. They've got Rammstein in Germany. It's 35,000 troops in Germany.
Wow. And
what happens if America does start behaving this way towards Europe? Why would Germany keep that there? Might as well just say, right, sling your hook, mate.
Well, they will.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
I mean, at the moment, they think that having them there is protecting them. But as soon as that protection is gone, they might as well get rid of Ramstein.
Well, if you've got 35 people there and they go, actually, we're not really going to get involved.
It's massive Ramstein. It's like a little American city.
Well, it is.
Extraordinary.
Yeah. I bet.
It really is. And you know, I think it's at 3 o'clock every afternoon. They play the national anthem at Ramstein. I've been there and filmed it. And they all stop what they're doing. Cars stop, people stop in the streets.
Wow.
Service people salute, others put their hand on their chest, and they stand there for the national anthem, and then it's like the weirdest thing. And then as soon as it's over, they go about their business.
Is there a huge camp out there called Senelager?
There used to be. Yeah, it's closed now. That was a British camp. Zenelager.
I did some work there.
So did I. I used to go there.
I didn't realise the size of it
Yeah,
till I got
massive.
there.
Yeah, it's gone now because they drew down all the British troops. All gone. So let me see.
What?
Oh,
What?
got 20 seconds with you.
You got 20 seconds?
Yeah. Better say something interesting quick.
OK. Cold water swimmers on Saturday set a new world record for the largest polar dip. 2,461 participants in the Most Lake in northwest Czech Republic. And it was freezing, 3.5 degrees Celsius.
Right.
Quick enough?
That's a Cold War for you, isn't it?
Yay!
Ross Kane, thank you very much indeed. Writer, broadcaster and celebrant. Right, coming up, it's just you and me now, and it's a full hour of phone-in. It's the only full hour on the station. I've got so many calls now already, but if you want to join in, it is not too late. So please do pick up the phone. What are we talking about? I'm asking you about the state visit that Donald Trump is going to be making to the UK at the behest of the King. Well, at the behest of Keir Starmer, who asked the King to ask Donald Trump if he would go on an unprecedented second state visit. The last one was in 2020. I'll give you more details on that in just a moment. But do you want him here? And do you think that actually, given his recent behaviour, that we should not invite him? Should we withdraw the invitation even? Or do we have to suck up to this man for as long as it takes? 0344 499 1000. Give me a call.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Good morning to you. I am so excited to be here because ever since that Oval Office fiasco that I witnessed on Friday, and yes, I did watch the whole thing, I have wanted to talk about it and hear your views, but not solely on that. Because the day before, of course, Keir Starmer, our Prime Minister, was in Washington, and the bit that we saw of the press conference was distasteful, in my view. It's like, because it was a bit sucky-uppy, wasn't it? It was a bit obsequious. Reminded me of some sort of Dickensian character going, oh, Trump, oh, and, you know, touching his arm and going, oh, here's a letter from the king. And, oh, do I have to read it now? Yeah, you do, because we need to take your answer back. As if Trump was ever going to say no to a royal state. It's unprecedented. It's never happened before. Now, I know what he was doing. I know what he was doing. And I respected him for doing it because I couldn't have done it. It would have made me physically sick to do it. And he was appealing to Donald Trump's ego, right? We know that. And we know that's the easiest way of doing it. And some people have suggested, right? And maybe this is what Zelenskyy should have done, right? He should have gone there and gone, oh, well, he did say thank you, and he has said thank you so many times, but he should have gone in there and gone, oh, Donald, Mr. Trump, we love you in Ukraine, and we're going to erect a statue to you as soon as Kyiv is at peace. And here's a special award, Milk Monitor of the Week award for you, Donald Trump. It's unprecedented. We've never done this before, as a way of saying thank you, right? Maybe Zelenskyy should have done that. And the outcome, we know, from that Oval Office meeting, would have been totally different. Donald Trump would have been sucking up to Zelenskyy, giving him everything he wanted. And that would have been the smart move. But I'm not going to criticise Zelenskyy for not doing it. I'll tell you why. Because the man is beaten. He has spent 3 years at war with a giant of a country. He is exhausted. He hasn't got time to play games. He hasn't got time to suck up to Donald Trump. Would that have been the right thing to do? It would have been the sensible thing to do. To suck up to him. Tell him he's getting a statue and a special badge or award that has never been given before because they just made it up on the plane over. Maybe that would have been the right thing to do. But he didn't do it because he's a man at war. And to suggest that he doesn't want peace is absolutely ridiculous. What he doesn't want is a peace at any cost. What he doesn't want is what he's been offered so far, which is not a peace that can be held. He's already had to give up Crimea. That's already gone. And he was promised that won't happen again. There won't be more. It's fine. He just wanted Crimea. That was it. So he doesn't trust Putin. The Russians kidnapped hundreds of Ukrainian children and took them to Russia to re-education camps. You think that Zelenskyy doesn't want peace? You have to be off your rocker. Of course he wants peace. He's the one that's been burying thousands and thousands of soldiers. Of course he wants peace. But what he doesn't want is a peace that's going to last just long enough for Russia to rearm and come back. And none of us should want that peace. None of us. And I keep getting people saying, now Starmer wants to send what's left of our troops to die in a conflict he had no business getting involved in. That's from Lindsay. He is not intending to send troops to a conflict. He is intending to offer troops to the peace. And they will only have to fight if Russia attacks again, which is why we need security as a backstop. So if you don't want British troops to die in a peace, then you should want America or Turkey or Saudi Arabia, for God's sake, anybody at this stage, to provide a security guarantee. Because they will only die, our troops will only die, if Russia attacks Ukraine again. It is the peace that Keir Starmer is planning to put boots on the ground for, not the war. And I don't know how many times I'm going to have to say that. If you don't like facts, this is the wrong programme for you. If you do, and you want to have a conversation, pick up the phone. 0344 499 1000. Should we withdraw our invitation to Donald Trump for that state visit? And there's more reason to today than there was before I came on air, actually. Because Donald Trump is now having a go at Europe. He can't help it. Give me a call, 0344 499 1000. Sarah is in Liverpool. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Petrie. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
What do you think about having Trump over here, rolling out the red carpet, sucking up to him?
To be perfectly honest, I think Starmer should not have given him or offered a state visit. He should have offered a case of sugar dummies, because he's the biggest baby I've ever come across. And to be perfectly honest, the way things are shaping up, I was looking at I'll be perfectly honest, the bookies round our way put bets on everything. From horse racing and sport, right the way through to politics. And with a little satire on the side, of course, this being Liverpool. And at the moment in time, the odds of the state visit going ahead are getting longer and longer.
Interesting.
As, to be perfectly honest, Trump, the tangerine man toddler, has decided to throw all his toys out the pram yet again, as you've just said, and had to go at the peace conference, the security conference, I should say, I was on yesterday.
Yep.
And and you could almost picture him literally having a temper tantrum in the Oval Office yesterday when Zelenskyy had tea with Charles.
That's exactly... Do you know what, Sarah? That is exactly why I think he's thrown his teddy out of the pram again today. Because Zelenskyy went to Sandringham, to the private home of our monarch, and shook his hand. And Trump would not have liked that.
Definitely not. To be perfectly honest, I wouldn't be surprised if in the Oval Office they've had to reinforce the playpen they have to put him in. I wouldn't be surprised. I feel sorry for the First Lady. It's not often I feel sorry for Melania Trump, but this might be one of them. They most probably said, would somebody mind opening the gate to the new playpen? How come it's got bigger? Well, we've had to keep him in. He keeps wrecking everywhere. Please, it costs a fortune to fix it. Get him in. When he's having a tantrum, shove him in there right now. And tell him if he doesn't behave, he's going on the naughty step. Although I don't think that would work with Donald Trump. He wouldn't know what a naughty step is. He's always been naughty and no one's ever told him off.
Yeah.
And this is an exact reason why we can't let this go ahead. The way things are shaping up, I can see the government having to go, oh my God, why did you go and do that?
Well, look,
it was... make Charles write that letter?
It was incredibly predictable. In fact, I predicted it. It's so easy to predict that I predicted it, because they know how to play Donald Trump, right? They know that the man likes to feel special, and he wants everybody to make him feel special. He knows everything more than anybody else. He's always telling us that he knows everything more than anybody else. He knows everything, and everybody's his best friend more than anybody else's best friend. And he has to be that person in the room. Now, in terms of diplomacy, what Keir Starmer had to do was to suck up to Trump, because we don't want tariffs, we don't want, any of his shenanigans on us. But there will come a point that we have to pick a side. And it will either have to be America or it will have to be Europe. And at the moment, Keir Starmer is trying not to pick a side.
Well, we saw that the last time about 80 odd years ago, when we had the appeasement of Hitler, and Chamberlain came back, going peace in our time.
Yeah, peace in our time.
Yeah, and we literally ran out of tetanus jabs then for sitting on the fence with all those splinters. Do we really want to go through that again? I don't think so. I think I always remember some very wise words, funnily enough. It was from Churchill, and he said, never trust America. Never trust them. And especially at the moment when we have got the President of the United States who is behaving more like our man in
Russia.
in Washington for Russia. I mean, that is a joke that's going round at the moment when Peskov went in to see his generalissimo self, Putin, as he got down on his knees and said, Mr. President, I have words from our man in Washington. To which Putin looked up and went, which one? And there's more. And to be perfectly honest, that may be a joke, but you know what they say about many a truth spoken in jest.
It does seem that Mr. Putin has a hand on Donald Trump's head, doesn't it?
It's more than a hand, because when he got bombed out, when he was bankrupt, shall we say, as we would say over here, no bank in the West, let alone Wall Street, would lend to Donald Trump. So the only banks he could go to were the ones in Moscow, from post-communist Russia at the time. But then, because they were all owned by oligarchs who came under the spell of Putin, they put him in power. They basically were banks of the Kremlin in the end, and Trump owes them a small fortune. So apart from that, and God knows what the KGB's got on him, let's be perfectly honest. I mean,
he did used to visit Russia quite a lot. There's a lot of photographs of him with young Russian girls on his knee.
Oh yes, very much so. So can you imagine the amount of information they have got? And believe you me, some of those girls will not be young models. They will be KGB honey trap agents.
Well, we know how the KGB works, and also they've always got cameras absolutely everywhere. Look, they may not have nothing on Trump. Maybe just Trump believes that Putin is a changed man and that he can be trusted, although obviously he's displayed that he can't be trusted and hasn't been trusted before. So I don't know what would lead him to believe that. I mean, maybe he knows, maybe he's got something on Putin that he knows Putin is going to back down. I don't
think so. I think, to be perfectly honest, Putin has definitely got the goods on Trump. But the way Trump's behaving, I think he's behaving more like, how shall we put it, the latter stages of Henry VIII. Think Wolf Hall and the Mirror and the Light. Except we all know what happened to Thomas Cromwell, if that is who Starmer was channeling at that meeting. Because we know it didn't end well.
I don't think that we can rely on Donald Trump and our erstwhile great special relationship with America.
No chance.
I don't think we can anymore, and I think that is really sad, and I think but all things end, right? And I do think we're heading towards a new world order where America may well not be the strength that it was.
Especially when you have a president who is busy destroying America from the inside.
It would appear so. Yeah, it would appear so. I'm very worried about the US at the moment. I'm extremely concerned about what's happening, and I don't think that there'll be any doubt about what's happening in around 2 months' time. So by the summer, I think everything will become crystal clear, unfortunately. But there you go. Sarah, good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. I'm going to go to a break now, and when I come back, I'm going to speak to Andrew, who's in Bristol.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, and a very good morning to you. It is Petrie here with you until 1 o'clock, and we're discussing the state visit, the second state visit by Donald Trump to this country. It won't happen this year, probably won't happen next year either. We're probably looking at 2027, and a lot can happen, as we know, in a day with relationships with Donald Trump, so we may not even get there. But still, nonetheless, it is an expensive thing for us to do. The policing of it alone, back in 2020, cost £3.5 million. And then there's the banquet, which was it £100,000 or something, and it was £400,000 bill, £435,000 bill. There's the hotels as well, that's £30,000 for 2 nights and things like that. But it's the policing of it, really. It's the security of it that costs the most amount of money. But cost aside, what is it going to cost us to suck up to Donald Trump? Now, a lot of people will say, and I agree with this, of course, is that if we don't suck up to him, then we're in a world of pain. But doesn't there come a time when you stand, if not up to the bully, you just stop giving him your sandwiches? Is there? Is there a time you stop giving him your dinner money? You might not stand up to him, but you just don't give him your dinner money anymore. I don't know, because the way he's talking about us now is incredibly disrespectful. I mean, I don't suppose he knows how to spell diplomacy. I don't know, but it would seem that he's on his own journey. He's on his own tangent. He's upset his allies. He's upset Canada. He's upset Mexico. He's upset Ukraine. He's upset Europe. He's coming after us with I don't know. Look, we will invite him over, of course, and we will spend millions of pounds stroking his ego, because that's what he requires. But at some point, that's not going to be enough. And I just wonder when we go, that's enough now. I just wonder, does that point ever happen? Or does the economic power and the military power that is America mean that we have to constantly suck up to this man, no matter what he does and no matter what he says? You tell me. 0344 499 1000. Heath has said, note to Petrie Hosken, Zelenskyy and Trump. Trump is the only leader to realistically discuss peace. He did with Russia. Yet he has been demonised because he spoke only to Russia. Surely any form of peace should be welcomed. You see, that's what I don't agree with. I don't agree with that, because appeasement doesn't work. Chamberlain, peace in our time. And we know what happened next. Any kind of peace is not peace. What we need is a lasting peace. We need a peace where Putin does not win. He already took Crimea, and everyone went, we'll appease him. Let him have it. It's not ours to give, but let him have it, because he'll stop at Crimea. A few short years later, and he's back. That was a appeasement. That was a peace, if you like. So no, not any kind of peace. It won't work. Because historically it's taught us it never works. You can't just have any kind of peace. It has to be sustainable. It was pathetic to see Zelenskyy throw himself into the arms of Starmer a day later like some sort of baby. Zelenskyy is not being bullied. He's a grown man who's a leader of a country at war, for crying out loud. Yes, and that's why he deserved a little bit more respect than he was shown. And why wouldn't you, after the trubbing that you took in the Oval Office, be grateful for anybody to be nice to you? I would. And you would, Heath. And you know you would. So, look, brilliant if Trump can sort some sort of peace out, but it has to be a peace that Zelenskyy agrees to, and it has to be a peace that is sustainable, because it's not going to work otherwise. And in 5 years' time, we'll be back talking about Russian aggression. It might last for now, might be good for now, but at what cost? At what cost in the future? Grow up, Petrie. Zelenskyy is a wartime leader who's run out of America's money. It has to stop. I don't even know what that means. I really, actually, you didn't sign it because you're probably like Donald Trump, a bit of a coward, but you didn't, what does that even mean? Doesn't mean anything. Europe have given more to Ukraine than America has. I know that doesn't fit into the narrative of MAGA, but it's the truth. Let's talk to Andrew, who's in Bristol. Morning, Andrew.
Yeah, very good morning to you, Petrie.
How's Bristol?
No, it's all dark outside.
But it was light this morning, which is a good thing.
Well, there you go. It's good that we keep up these things, and thoroughly enjoying the show and the comments that are being made.
Good. You wanted to make a comment about troops, about forces going to Ukraine.
Absolutely right. What is Starmer up to? He says today, I want to make sure that I'm going to put boots on the ground in Ukraine and planes in the air.
Yeah.
Now, what the hell is he up to? I mean, Trump has already said, whatever you think of President Trump, and I've heard what you think of him, has said that he doesn't want to put troops into Ukraine. So what are we doing? Are we on our own, or are we heading for World War III?
No, this is. But you know, he's talking about peacekeeping troops. So once the truce has been organised, then the peace after the truce, that we would supply troops along with other European countries to maintain a green zone, if you like.
Well, yeah, fine. I'm with that 100%. I mean, but Ukraine is a strange history, and this war has been going on for much longer than people realise. It goes back to sort of 2007, and maybe even earlier than that. And it's not.
Yeah, but we're not going to be involved in the conflict. The only way that those troops that we're talking about sending, although Keir Starmer said he won't do that without a solid security backdrop, the only way those troops will ever be injured is if Russia attacks Ukraine again.
Well, I hope that's the case.
That is the case, because they're not going there to fight Russia. They're going there once a peace deal has been agreed.
Oh, yeah, we all want a peace deal.
Yeah, we all want a peace deal, but we also know that Russia cannot be trusted, because they took Crimea and we all went, oh, we'll appease him over that and not get involved. And then he came back to Ukraine. So what Ukraine wants is a peace that will last. And in order to do that, there'll need to be a green zone. Whatever the peace deal is that they come up with, there'll have to be a zone where there is a buffer zone. Right, it's not that, I mean, this is used quite often after wars, where troops are there to secure a peace. So the only way that they would be injured or shot at or hurt or killed is if Russia attacks Ukraine again.
Well, I'm all for that, and I agree with you on that point.
Right.
But what the hell are we doing going into that country, or thinking of going into that country?
Because we have to secure the peace.
We should have ever gone into.
But you know that after the Second World War, we promised Ukraine, we signed an agreement with Ukraine, as did America, because when at the end of the war, Ukraine had the third biggest nuclear arsenal in the world.
Well, I agree with that too. But
And so no, but we said to them, if you get rid of them, because obviously Russia signed this as well, by the way. Russia didn't want Ukraine to have those weapons, so Ukraine agreed to get rid of their nuclear weapons on the proviso that should they be attacked by Russia any time in the future, that we would defend them. So are we a country of honour or are we not? Because if he still had nuclear weapons, Russia wouldn't have attacked him.
Well, that is one way to look at it. But by the same token, if Russia had really wanted to go into Ukraine in the fullness of time, there was no way that Ukraine was going to stop them.
If they had nuclear weapons, I think that Russia might have taken them a bit more seriously, because nobody wants a nuclear war, and Russia knows the second it fires a nuclear weapon, the whole world is going to fire at Moscow. So they didn't want that. So we took away Ukraine's security blanket and replaced it with a promise that we would defend them if Russia ever attacked. We did that. We signed that accord. America signed it, and even Russia signed it. And now we're going back on it.
Petrie, what I would say to you is this. The Russians have been totally disregarded in their opinion. Now, I'm no Putin apologist. I don't think he invaded the place for after all. But what I'm saying is this. He shouldn't. They shouldn't take this as a serious thing.
You don't think Putin would attack again?
I don't know whether he would or not. I don't know. I can't read his mind any more than anybody else can.
No, but if you go by, we can only judge people by their past behaviours, right? I wouldn't want to bet the security of Europe on thinking, well, he might not.
Well, yeah, okay. What's been happening lately is probably correct in the sense that we need to spend more on defence.
Yes. Peace can only be truly achieved from strength. That's why we have nuclear weapons, right? It's MAD, a mutually assured destruction. That's why we have them. We don't have them to use them. We have them to stop them being used.
But there again, they've got those as well, and it's one of those things that perhaps we'll never discover, because if we do discover it, we're all finished.
Oh, exactly, and that's why. But that is peace with strength, because you have this threat, you have this ultimate threat. If you attack us with nuclear weapons or whatever it is you want to do, we've got the power to defend ourselves, and that has kept this country, it has kept America, it has kept Europe safe for decades so far.
And I agree with what you said so far. But on the other hand, I don't think Putin really wants to become ruler of the world.
No, he wants the old USSR back, and he's made that very clear. He said it.
Maybe so. But
that involves Latvia, Poland,
NATO,
Lithuania.
On the other hand, NATO have broken their promises. And they said to him, basically, some years ago, we won't stretch our boundaries any further.
No, we did. But why do you think it is that he doesn't want NATO on his doorstep? Let's just ask that question. Well, why, if he is all peaceful and not intending to expand, would he object to somebody being a member of NATO? Why would he object to that if he has no plans to attack?
What I would say to you is this. We've got more people surrounding him now than we did before.
But why would he object to that if he wasn't planning to attack? If he was quite happy with the borders of Russia as they are, and he had no intention of expansion,
the only reason he would...
Why would he care?
The only reason he would object to that is he feels threatened because...
Well, nobody wants Russia. He's fine. We don't want to take Russia. We've made that perfectly clear. We don't want it.
Well, exactly. I mean, we broke our promises and we're basically getting the worst end of it now. I'm not suggesting we've caused this war, but it hasn't helped by getting closer and closer and closer to Russia and saying that Ukraine might join NATO. And how would you feel in the Russians' shoes? As I say, I'm no apologist for him. How would you feel in the Russian shoes if you're surrounded by the people that really would like to see the end of you?
Well, listen, I agree with that. I accept that from you. But the only reason he would ever be worried about it, really, is because it prevents him from expanding. It's great to talk to you, Andrew. I've got to go because there's some breaking news you might want to listen to as well. According to a White House official, Donald Trump has now paused military aid to Ukraine. The pause will last, he says, until the president believes Ukraine's leaders have shown a commitment to peace. A Trump administration official reportedly stressed the move is not permanent. I don't know quite what that means, but we're back in just a moment after the break.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, good morning. It's Petrie here with you until 1 o'clock. And we're talking about Donald Trump. We're talking about the state visit that the King extended, an unprecedented second state visit to Donald Trump. He was only here in 2020. It didn't go that well for him, of course, because there were lots of protests. And I suspect the same will be this time round. But it might not happen at all because an hour's a long time, isn't it, in the Trump presidency? We don't quite know what's going to happen. I just gave that breaking news that according to a White House official, Donald Trump has now paused military aid to Ukraine. The pause will last until the president believes Ukraine leaders have shown a commitment to peace. I don't quite know what he wants to hear or see, but he wants to hear or see it. But let's find out that our resident American, Cindy in Michigan, thinks of the state visit. Good morning to you, Cindy. How are you?
Oh, Petrie, thank you so much for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. I want to say it's really important that we, the United States and the UK, have a united front no matter what. No matter what. We are the two most side-by-side wonderful allies that have ever been. And we have to stay that way.
It's very hard, though, when we read that Donald Trump is calling us weak, and you know, he's not been very kind to. It's very hard.
He hasn't, and here's what I have to say on his behalf. I feel like behind the scenes he's got motivation that he can't quite communicate to us for reasons that he can't telegraph, you know? He thinks, I feel, that, okay, first I want to say that Putin has said if he even gets the whiff, the notion that we're going to entertain NATO, that he's going to go in full force on this war. And we can't do that. We just can't risk that.
No, I would agree with that. And I think NATO is off the table. I don't think that is going to be even a discussion point. But why does Donald Trump trust Putin so much? Why does he believe that Putin wants this peace on his own terms? Here's why
what I think. I think that because Donald Trump has this really crazy way of that people think that he is, this crazy way, unpredictable, that he has his enemies thinking, oh, I don't know what he's going to do here. I don't know if he's really. He has his allies thinking that as well. Yes, and I know, and that's not so good. But what matters in the bigger picture is what the non-allies think. And so Putin is going to be. I feel that if Putin makes an agreement with Trump, I feel he would keep it because he knows that Trump, and I feel that if Putin did something to go back on his deal, Trump would go in hard. Like, hard. That's how I feel, because Trump, I feel, doesn't mess around. He means business, not Biden or not like any other.
I suspect you're right. I hope that you're right about that. And I think his unpredictability possibly does have that effect. I will give you that. I do think, that Putin is probably a little bit scared of Trump in the respect, not because he's a scary character, but because he's so blooming unpredictable. But at the same time, your president has got Canada, looking at defending itself from America. That's not good. That's not good when you have your closest ally now considering itself to have to defend itself from you. So his unpredictability.
Closest ally, not Canada so much. I would
geographically, your closest ally.
Right, geographically closer, but not. I don't. How do I say this diplomatically here? And most Americans don't really even see Canada as, no, I just, for us, it's, we look to UK as if we're in trouble or we need some help or we need to go in and help somebody else.
9/11, Canada was there. You've got Canada going in when there's fires. You've got Canada going in when there's floods. You've got Canada doing all of these amazing things. They really are the closest neighbour to you.
They are, but we look to. I'm sorry, but I consider the UK very close to my heart.
I've always felt very close to America. We love you, the people of America. I'm just not sure you've got the right leader for world peace. Or for...
I think he's got the best intentions. I think he's going about it in a way that is mysterious to other people and has many people perplexed. Like, why is he acting this way? Why is he? I think there are things going on maybe behind the scenes that, because we're not always privy to things that are done or said. And I'm glad we had a look at what happened in the White House. And there's a lot of people that are the Never Trumpers are very unhappy about that, and there are people on Trump's side who are okay with it. I know for me, like
worst thing I've ever seen.
I know for me, like when I've had trouble with something and I've gone to somebody for help, for me, I don't care. I mean, I do care how they treat me, of course. I'm gonna talk, like and say, oh, can you believe this, you know? But when I'm having to ask, like, my landlord, you know, can I have an extension? Really, all I care about is, can I get the extension?
And how would you feel if you went,
like,
you're not holding any of the cards. You're not holding any of the cards, so you haven't said thank you enough. What are you doing?
I would. Trust me, I would roll my eye in my head. I would roll my eyes, but I would do what I need to do.
Well, Zelenskyy didn't punch him, which I thought was very controlled of him. Look, you and I are probably never going to agree on Donald Trump and his behaviour. I am genuinely worried for America. That's where it comes from. It comes from my love of America,
Petrie,
and I'm genuinely concerned.
For me, in my eyes, your heart is golden, Petrie.
I love you guys. I don't want anything bad to happen to you.
I know.
And I'm worried for you, and that's where it's coming from.
I feel like he's just trying to be unpredictable and be like ahead of the game, and maybe in all this unpredictability will come something positive.
I hope so. I genuinely hope so. And I really hope I'm wrong. I desperately pray that I am wrong with where I think he's taking America. But
Petrie,
I really do.
Petrie, I want to say I love your show. I love what you do. And you rock. Number one, okay?
See, this is why we love Americans. I love you guys. But just do better next time. Do better. Take care. Oh, yeah. Cindy, bless her heart. She is adorable. Shall I take a break now? Yes. Let me take a break and I'll come back to talk to Paula in just a moment.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Good morning. It is Petrie here with you. Let me give you a little bit more detail on that breaking news. Donald Trump, as I said, has paused the military aid to Ukraine after an Oval Office bust-up with President Volodymyr Zelenskyy last week. I'm not sure it was so much a bust-up as a hijacking, but there you go. A White House official said Mr. Trump is focused on reaching a peace deal, which I think he is. I do. And wants Mr. Zelenskyy to commit to that goal. The Associated Press reported the officials said the US was pausing and reviewing its aid to ensure that it is contributing to a solution. So let's hope that that is the case. I think that Zelensky, of course, is motivated to a peace, but he's not motivated to a peace at any cost, because it will not work. Rachel said, love your show, Petrie. Thank you. To be honest, I don't have the knowledge you have about war and conflict, and you've given me another perspective about putting British troops in Ukraine. It's for peace, not for conflict. Like I said, Rachel, the only way those men or women will be hurt in any way is if Russia breaks the peace deal. They are there to secure the peace, not to create the peace, but after the peace deal has been done. That was the commitment that Keir Starmer wanted to make, and he has subsequently said he won't do it without an incredibly strong, secure backdrop of security. And Rachel says as well, that breathtaking news, Petrie, is seriously worrying. I bet Putin thinks all his birthdays have come at once. Yeah, that's my worry. That is my worry. It's all going his way, isn't it? Right, let's speak to Paula, who's in Halifax. Hello, Paula, how are you?
Hello, Petrie.
Are you all right, my darling?
Oh, not so bad.
Good, good. What do you think about Donald Trump coming over for another state visit?
Well, I thought it was absolutely atrocious with
Zelensky.
Yeah, I thought it was so rude and so bloody. Oh, just awful.
Oh, and JD Vance as well. What a. I just thought they were like bully boys in the playground.
Yeah, there was. That's exactly.
And people are going, well, Zelensky folded his arms. Of course he was defensive. I mean, blimey, if you're getting that sort of treatment and you've got surrounding you all of these people.
Yeah, but the day before, it got our Prime Minister there, and he's going, oh, yeah, happy days.
Love you,
whatever.
Donny. Yeah. It was a bit sycophantic, wasn't it, I thought?
I thought it was absolutely disgraceful.
Yeah, I did as well, but I knew why he was doing that. I understood why he was doing that, but it still wasn't pretty. Didn't make me feel happy.
No, it's not. No, it's not pretty. It's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about, and then they got our Prime Minister got the letter out from the King and said, oh, the King wants to meet you and all this lot.
Made me cringe.
Oh, it did me. I just thought, what a pillock.
Look, Starmer, I would agree with you. I think the man is a pillock, but I think he pulled a blinder on that, although it was really uncomfortable to watch, and I had to go and have a shower after watching it.
Oh, it was awful.
I understood.
They were bullying him.
But no, I understood why Starmer was playing that game, right? They've obviously sat down with psychologists and gone, look, this man's got an ego. You need to butter him up. He loves the royals. He loves Britain. Give him another royal visit, and he'll be putty in your hands. And as I was saying earlier, maybe Zelensky should have gone in and said, oh, we're going to erect a Donald Trump statue, and here's a special medal from Ukraine. And do you know what? I bet that Trump would have been all over him like a rash if he had, because that's the man. That's what he needs. He wants to be adored and loved. And if Zelensky had done that, then it would have been a different conversation. But I don't blame Zelensky for not doing it.
I thought it was so rude to him.
Yeah.
I thought it was absolutely disgraceful.
Yeah, it actually made me want to cry.
Yeah, it did me too.
Yeah, because I don't like bullies.
You vile individual.
Yeah, well, all of them. That reporter who was set up to berate him. Do you own a suit?
And then the other guy who was sat there
laughing.
Yeah,
JD Vance. He's got no right to laugh with trousers like he wears, I tell you. Halfway up his knees. Have you seen that? Check him out next time he's sitting down. I don't know what's gone on. They're right up past his sock line. I mean, I know there are worse things in the world, but...
no, never.
He's a pillock. Anyway, my darling, it's lovely to talk to you. I love talking to you. Take care of yourself. Here we go. Petrie, you asked why Putin would not want Ukraine in NATO. Well, because they wouldn't be able to attack them. Answer, because NATO are in countries surrounding Russia, and to them, be in Ukraine will make him feel unsafe due to the EU wanting lithium and metals, etc., to make computer gadgets. That's from G. So you genuinely think that he's worried about NATO because he thinks we're going to invade Russia to get lithium? Well, I suppose stranger things have happened. I think we'd be quite happy to leave him that. I mean, Ukraine's got loads of lovely stuff, haven't they? Catherine said, love the show. I wonder when we're going to see Russian representation in the Oval Office and how Trump would talk to them. Interesting you should ask that question, because Russian press were there when Vladimir Zelenskyy was in the Oval Office. Russian press. And when they were asked how the Russian press got in there, nobody knew. They all went, well, you didn't invite them. You imagine me turning up to the White House with no press, how I would get into the Oval Office. Of course they invited them. But there was Russian press there. You'd never seen anything like it. Extraordinary. Why were they there, I wonder? Was it to take the message back to Putin that Vladimir Zelenskyy had been humiliated? I don't know. I'm asking the question. I'm not suggesting an answer. Carol is in Manchester. Hello, Carol. Good morning.
Hello, good morning. I've enjoyed your programme.
Thank you.
Absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved Russ Kane.
Yeah, he's great.
I think the two of you...
He's very naughty. He's getting me into trouble.
Well, I love it when the two of you get together. Absolutely love it. Now you're not going to love me.
Uh-oh.
No. Here we go. You know, right with it. We're asking about the king.
Mm-hmm.
Should we cancel it here? You can't do that. You just can't do that. How can you know, like, we've got our Prime Minister that had gone to America, gave him a letter from the king, you know, like, and said, you're welcome here, you're coming over it and whatever. You can't do that. It's not tit for tat. With whatever is going on at the moment, and I know we had a discussion a few weeks ago regarding, and I said, just chill out. All this now at the moment is chilling. Just chill it. I know we're all angry. I know we're all what you call it. I know we don't like it the way it's going, but that is the world. That is the world of politics. That is the world of the big leaders, the little countries, the big countries. That's how it goes. And at the end of the day, it will get sorted out. There's no way. I feel more that it's going to get sorted out more than anything. And it's like, especially with Trump today, coming on the television, you know, like, that they're doing this AI, blah, 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 blah. They need these special stuff from the land or whatever.
Ukraine.
Yeah,
he needs that mineral deal.
Like you're saying, when it was on that Friday, you know, like it was this and that or whatever, he's trying to do it in a way. At the end of the day, that's how I think anyway, and lots of other people that and there's a few other people that don't. It's how you think. But at the end of the day, I think it's dead clever, because to get the mineral, that stuff out of the land, it's going to take 30 years. Putin is going to die before they can get all that stuff out. So what he's doing is leaning on two areas. Trump, Putin is an absolutely B. He's the worst evil person on earth. And the more you fight, he couldn't give a toot what we do with him. He would not give a damn or whatever. And don't forget, he's got nukes like we have in France and America and Pakistan and whatever. And like Trump said, we do not want a third... There won't be a third world, right? That maniac is a nutter, Putin. He's an absolute nutter.
Which is why the peace has to be sustainable, right?
Yeah, but you cannot speak to a nutter. What are you going to say to him? What are you going to say to him?
Yeah. So we have to expect that he will come back then at some point.
Come back at what? He won't, what you call it. If Trump has got some kind of a relationship with him, with this nutter, which he is, he's a nutter, you know, like at the end of the day, if he has got some kind of area that he can speak to him, like some mental person or whatever, let it be. Let it be. And I mean,